Thank you very much indeed, Charlie and Laura, and yes, welcome to a resplendent G-Tech Stadium. It is a beautiful day here in West London. Not a cloud in the sky, cobalt blue skies overhead, and a sun-splashed pitch which is waiting for the emergence of the two sets of players. So before we get them out onto the pitch, let's run you through the team news. For Brentford, the Icelandic international Hakon Valdimarsson makes his first Premier League start for the club. He made his debut in the division as a sub in December's draw at Brighton. Michael Kayode, 20-year-old right-back who's played for Italy at youth level, has joined Brentford on loan to the end of the season. He is amongst the substitutes as the teams come out of the tunnel just down to our left-hand side here at the GTAC. Valdimarsson in goal then for Brentford. Aya, Collins, Vandenberg and Collins, Vandenberg and Lewis Potter are the back four. Norgard and Janelt sitting with Damsgaard and Bumo and Schade behind Johan Wissa up top. As for Tottenham Hotspur, well, there are 4 changes from Ange Postecoglou from the 11 that started the 3-0 victory over Elfsborg in the Europa League on Thursday. 17-year-old striker Mikey Moore, who scored memorably in that match, keeps his place in the side. Antonin Kinski returns in goal, while there are also starts for Jed Spence and Dejan Kulusevski. So it is Kinski in goal, Spence, Davis, Gray and Porro at the back, Kasuma, Bentancur and Kulusevski in midfield, Moore, Son and Richarlison up top. Stephen Kelly's alongside me for this one. Stephen, good afternoon. Beautiful day here, perfect day for football. Let's just have a look at that Spurs lineup first of all. No Mickey van der Ven, but Spurs fans don't need to be too worried about that. Yeah, well, according to sources, they don't need to be too worried. He only played 45 minutes midweek against Elfsborg in the Europa League, came through that okay, and he's been out for a while, so I think they're just managing his minutes according to the manager and from people on the inside as well. So I think he's trained this week okay, and they're looking ahead probably to that massive game against Liverpool. So yeah, don't want to risk him in this game today, but this is a huge match for Spurs, it really is. And looking at the lineup for Spurs as well, bit of talk about who's going to play where, but you think it'll be Son and Moore on the right and left, and Kulusevski in a more central role? Yeah, I think, listen, I know Mikey Moore operates on the left quite often, that's his natural position, likes to cut in, but you'd feel Kulusevski down the middle as being a bit more dangerous in that 10 role, and he expects Son to be in the wide somewhere. I'm sure it's fluid, I'm sure it's interchangeable, but the only one that's going to stay in the middle will be the expect Richarlison straight up top, but it's quite a fluid system, and Tottenham are looking, they need to get something today, and those players up top have to try and produce. And as for Brentford, well, they're such a well-drilled unit. They were perhaps a bit fortunate at Crystal Palace last weekend. I was there for that game for Sports Extra. Awful weather, a big contrast to today. Pretty awful game. They came through it, and again, someone who caught my eye, which was a pretty tepid performance, Mikkel Damsgaard, who at the moment has perhaps shown the quality, which is why Brentford bought him in the first place. Yeah, he is. He's a wonderful player. He just keeps them ticking over, doesn't he? He's that type of player that he's involved defensively in the forward areas. He links to play really well, but then when you play with forwards that are confident, and then Bumo and Wissa, they're making runs in behind you, and you can link up well with them. It shows what he's capable of doing in the middle of the park, and someone that you think that teams that, I know you don't like to always say Brentford a smaller club, but teams of a higher stature may be looking to bring in someone like him, because I just think he's so effective in the role he plays. So, Hey Jude blaring out of the speakers here at the GTEC as per usual before kick-off. Our referee today is Jared Gillett, and he is just by the centre circle at the moment as the Brentford players emerge from a huddle. Valdimarsson wearing short sleeves today. It is that kind of day here in West London, and it will be Brentford to get us underway, kicking from right to left in this first half in their red and white striped kits. Tottenham Hotspur in their changed dark blue / light purple ensemble, as Jared Gillett just gets the all clear from both goalkeepers that we are good to go and we are set for action here. And it looks as though Stephen Kelly has been spot on with Mikey Moore already moving out to that right hand side. Yeah,
I wouldn't have expected to see him up front, even though that's a role he can play. Young player, got his first goal, so his confidence should be high going into this, and Sonny's operating a natural role on the left hand side, so Kulusevski is playing more of a midfield role, and I expect out of possession Kulusevski's going to have to drop back in beside Bentancur and Bissouma to give a little bit more stability, and they don't want Brentford running or ruling the roles in the middle of the park.
So it is with Hakon Valdemarsson between the sticks for Brentford today. No Mark Flecken due to a side strain, as Keane Lewis Potter collects the ball in the left back area. His ball up the line is blocked by Pedro Porro, and it spins out of play for a throw to Brentford. Ange Postecoglou just down in front of us, only about 15 yards away from where we are, stood hands in pockets looking out onto the pitch. Obviously a big win for them in Europe, which means that they're through to the last 16 of the Europa League without needing a playoff, but back to Premier League business and back to being under the microscope again.
Yeah, it's a big win for them in Europe, but a very much expected win against Elfsborg, the Swedish team who are effectively in pre-season at the moment, so I don't think anybody would expect anything else, and I don't think that takes the pressure off. So today's game here is, I think, something that will add to it could add to the struggles they're going on.
Brentford's first attack of the game down the right hand side. Christopher Ayer bombing forwards from full back, and he's forced it out for a throw to Brentford roundabout level with the Tottenham penalty area. Brentford's only win in the last 18 meetings in all competitions, and that only top division success against Tottenham came in a 3-1 victory at Spurs back in May of 2023. So certainly the stats in Spurs' favour historically speaking. Vitaly Janelt in centre field, goalless of the sun-drenched G-Tech with 2 minutes on the clock. It's Manchester United against Crystal Palace, by the way, over on 5 Live, and Arsenal-Manchester City at 4:30 as the ball is looped into the Spurs area, and Damsgaard arriving gets the hit towards goal, which is blocked. Not the most convincing defending from Tottenham Hotspur, but they get away with it for now, though Damsgaard's wrestled it back from Mikey Moore down by the left byline. He can't get his way past Porro, and it will be brought forwards. Did it go out of play? Darren Cam, the assistant referee on this near side, says not. It was a close call, so Spurs can come forwards with Richarlison offloaded to Kulusevski on halfway for Tottenham Hotspur. Dejan Kulusevski makes a few yards ground and then goes back to Bentancur, and Spurs have it. No Mickey van der Ven in the side today, and just a sign of a little bit of miscommunication at the back there.
Yeah, it is. For Brentford, they recycled it quite well. They had a setup for a long throw, went back, and then both centre backs, Collins and Van den Berg, stayed forward, which caused Tottenham a lot of problem. They couldn't clear their lines properly, and then
Schade coming forwards on the left hand side, and Thomas Frank going out to try and collect the ball and get the restart going quickly. He wants to see a pacey start from his team. Yeah,
he wants them to get after this Tottenham team. They're a bit fragile at the moment. I think Brentford, with their home form, should feel confident that they can really impose themselves on him, and I think he wants a quick start, which Brentford have been known to do this season.
They are the top scorers at home in the Premier League this season, Brentford. 29 racked up here so far. Somewhat surprising, though, to see that they're looking to win back-to-back league games for the first time this season.
Yeah, it is, considering their home form has been so good, and then it's just away from home. Can they emulate that? Can they keep that going, those runs they've been able to put together? But I think for Brentford at home, and if you're looking at their front three and look at the back four that Tottenham have out, Archie Gray, makeshift centre back, Ben Davies, makeshift centre back, Spence, makeshift left back, you're thinking this is a team that are fragile at the back, and we can cause problems, especially with the quality we have in the forward areas with Wissa and Mbeumo and Sade.
4 minutes gone, goalless, no chances of note at the moment, and still goalless between Manchester United and Crystal Palace at Old Trafford. That also a 2 o'clock kickoff, and at 4:30 full commentary on 5 Live of Arsenal at home to Manchester City after Liverpool went 9 points clear at the top of the table yesterday. Here is the Spurs keeper Antonin Kinski, who is decked out all in yellow this afternoon. Now it's forwards to Bentancur, who can advance over halfway without a challenge coming his way. Pedro Porro picks it up in the right channel and tried to slip it through for Kulusevski's run. It was well tracked, although Brentford have got themselves in trouble. Schade is upended just outside his own penalty area, and it's a free kick for Brentford, which Janelt thought about taking quickly, but they'll leave it to Sepp van den Berg instead to go back to his keeper with.
Yeah, a bit of space opened up for Benton Kersey, came forward there, a bit of an overload on the right hand side. More Kulusevski dropped in, and it was a difficult pass for Porro to get that in behind.
And Davis comes across to just cut off Brian Mbeumo on the left channel as Spurs look at it. Now Jed Spence is motoring towards the edge of the area, offloads to Kulusevski, 20 yards out. Dejan Kulusevski, plenty of bodies around him, but Richarlison almost managed to get on the end of his hook shot. He was going for goal, didn't catch it properly, but it nearly turned in to the perfect cross for Richarlison, who, lunging, just couldn't quite get there in time.
It's brilliant play by Jed Spence initially from the left back area, driving forward. He's been one of Tottenham's better players, gets into really good area, feeds Kulusevski, who as he steps into the box just drags his shot on his right foot, but Richarlison is peeled off Collins' shoulder and just misses this by an inch. Can't get his foot to it. It would have been a tap in from a couple of yards away, but shows they can be dangerous.
Richarlison slaps the turf in frustration that he wasn't able to get on the end of it, looking for a response to that defeat to Leicester City last weekend, that shock loss at home when they took the lead but were beaten. Spurs now currently on their worst set of Premier League results for 31 years, with just one win from their last 11 in the top division, losing 8 of them. These stats don't make for pretty reading, but it is picture perfect here at Brentford this afternoon. Such a glorious day as it's brought out from the back by Archie Gray for Tottenham. 7 minutes gone, 0-0 between Brentford and Spurs. Mikey Moore collecting on this right hand side, under pressure, has to revert back to Archie Gray, who pops it into the centre circle where Ben Davis will roll out to the left, and Jed Spence closed down by Mbeumo, and then Son's just overrun it, which allowed Norgard to nip in, but it'll come back to Ben Davis and Tottenham can build again. Stephen Kelly.
Yeah, you can see Brentford just holding their shape. They're not really looking to press too high up the pitch against Archie Gray or Ben Davies in the hand the ball. They're just sitting in a block, making it difficult for Tottenham to play between the lines into those little pockets of space that they're trying to get Kulusevski, Mikey Moore and Richarlison on.
One by Wissa from Archie Gray in a good area, just shy of the penalty box as Spurs look at it. Wissa wanted the throw to go his way, but it's gone out for a Spurs ball.
Yeah, well, it was. You can just see that they've set little traps. They're trying to make Tottenham play into it, and then when there's an opportunity to go, Wissa will lead the line and try and put pressure on.
Tottenham fans making some noise in their small allocation away to our right hand side in the corner of the ground, down behind the goal that is occupied by Valdemarson. And so far it's all been pro Tottenham songs, no ire directed towards the hierarchy as of yet, which has been a bit of a recurrent theme of late for Spurs, as it's worked all the way back by Nathan Collins to Valdemarson between the sticks for Brentford.
Yeah, it is. I'm sure at some point the fans are going to let their voice be heard. He's in here.
Ball over the top for Kevin Schade, who's got the wrong side of his man, been forced a bit wide, tries to get the cross in, Gray sends it behind. Well, Spurs were looking for an offside there. Johan Wissa looked like he was off. Schade ran from deep though, he was onside and Spurs nearly caught out.
Yeah, he's in his own half when he makes his run, so he can't be offside. People are looking at Wissa, the defenders, bit of miscommunication, but it's a great strike from the goalkeeper, isn't it, to put him in. And a ball like that, one ball shouldn't beat your whole team. That's just lack of communication and just Archie Gray getting caught slightly out of position.
Well, we heard so much about Tottenham Hotspur's high line since Ange Postecoglou came in, and it was nearly caught out there by the long ball over the top. Brentford with this corner then, which Mikkel Damsgaard, whose dead ball deliveries are normally on point, will take and whip it in right-footed, deep towards the far post, only half away, collected by Janelt, 30 yards out from goal, goes backwards of square, and Lewis Potter now spins it to the far stick. Damsgaard trying to get there, Richarlison wins the header, Kulusevski picks it up. This is still deep in the Tottenham half, and Dejan Kulusevski has spun away from the challenge of Damsgaard and brings it up towards halfway. Nice ball with the outside of his boot for the run of Mikey Moore. Keen Lewis Potter was watchful and quick and gets it back to his keeper. Porro on halfway for Tottenham Hotspur. I have to say that I've been really impressed with keen Lewis Potter. Yes, Brentford lost here to Liverpool last month, but he kept Mo Salah quiet for pretty much all of that game. It's a good looking ball in from Porro towards Richarlison by the penalty spot area, and Kulusevski's won it back inside the box. It just ran away from him, and Damsgaard should be able to get this clear for Brentford, and he's been clipped just outside the D, so it'll be a Brentford free kick.
Yeah, they're pushing him back from Porro. But yeah, Lewis Potter, he's been excellent this season. He's one of those players who's really come to the fore. And the way they play, so he comes inside in that right foot, just sweeping ball, opens up to Mbeumo, which allows you to do that as a fullback when you're stepping in on your stronger foot. The whole game opens up to you, and then he's confident in those passes, which we just saw just now.
So it's Brentford 0, Spurs 0 with 10 minutes played at the G-Tech, and the ball is given away cheaply by Tottenham in centre field. Johan Wissa rolls it wide to the right, and here comes Ayer back from up from the back rather, as he launches it towards Mbeumo. He couldn't make it stick, so Yves Bissouma will pick it up for Spurs, and it's with Jed Spence in the left back area for Spurs, as the Brentford fans try to G their team up. They're currently 6 points up on the same stage of last season. Brentford, Tottenham 20 points worse off than they were after this many games in the league last term.
Oh, well, it has been dreadful, and you think the pressure that's being heaped on Ange. Yes, there has been a crisis with injuries, but the teams they've lost to in round that are in that bottom three, you look at Everton, you look at Leicester, you look at Ipswich, that Tottenham can't lose those games. Losing to Leicester at home, just, this is why they're in this position. This is why they need to try and get something together. But yeah, the pressure is firmly on Ange, and he has to try and turn this around.
Archie Gray for Tottenham Hotspur in the third of the pitch that has the sunshine splashed on it at the moment. He is closed down by Damsgaard, so goes all the way back to Kinski in his all-yellow ensemble for Spurs. Ball out from the back to Bissouma that was a bit risky, and Kinski nearly lost it in a bad area. He's managed to get it away as far as Kevin Schade. Poor error that from the goalkeeper. Brentford on the attack. Chance for the ball to be sent in by Ayer. Brian Mbeumo sold Jed Spence and still goes to the byline. Now fizzes it in, and Wissa over the top with the header. Well, Kinski has apologised to his teammates for leading to that attack for Brentford, which ended with Wissa sending a header over the bar.
Great press from Brentford. Just wait for that roll and put Kinski under pressure, who plays a really soft pass just in the middle of the patch. The Schade picks it up, and then it works its way out to Mbeumo, who does really well. 1v1 Spence stands up. And look, I thought this came off a shoulder from a Tottenham player. Wissa was adamant, he was only a few yards out, but it was a really good opportunity for Brentford.
Spurs nearly shooting themselves in the foot there. That the first sight of goal that Brentford have had. Richarlison nearly got on the end of a Kulusevski cross shot earlier, but neither keeper forced into a save as of yet. Son to Kulusevski in the final third of the pitch as Spurs look at it, and these are the first chance of We Want Levy out from the pocket of away supporters away to the left hand side. Ben Davies in centre field for Spurs pops it to Richarlison, who's peeled out to the left flank. Spence goes short for him, but it's backwards of square to Ben Davies, midway inside the Brentford half, still waiting for the breakthrough at the G-Tech as Pedro Porro plays a nice flat pass into Kulusevski, offloads to Mikey Moore, tight to this near touchline. Kulusevski tries to just play the reverse pass towards Richarlison, bit too telegraphed. Brentford can come away with it, and Porro has tripped Kevin Schade. Free kick for Brentford deep in their own half. Stephen Kelly.
Yeah, Richarlison made a really good run off the back of the centre-backs, just timed it well, and Kulusevski was trying to reverse the ball just in behind them, gets intercepted, and then Porro gives the foul away. But it's been pretty even, hasn't it, so far? Neither team has kind of put their stamp on the game, end-to-end, energetic, without real quality in the final third yet.
Well, Spurs and Brentford games have seen 165 goals between them in the Premier League this season. Only Wolves have had more goals scored in matches involving them, so should be in for some entertainment.
Yeah, should be at least.
Lewis Potter with a throw for Brentford in the left back position, and now Vandenberg into his own penalty area, pops it into Christian Norgard, the captain. It's up the line from Lewis Potter now. Vitaly Janelt's there, but so is Bentancur, who got a boot to it, and the ball has rebounded to Archie Gray, who'll send it all the way back to his goalkeeper Kinski. Kinski getting some ironic jeers from the home fans behind him after that earlier wobble when he had the ball at his feet. Son with a clever ping down the left hand side for Jed Spence, but Brian Mbeumo tracking back well to pop it out of play for a throw.
Yeah, good play. Son just drifted inside side as the ball comes into. You almost need to put it further into the space and behind to give to be a good foot race between Spence and Mbeumo.
Spence dribbles forwards on the left-hand side, and again it was a reverse pass. Nice idea. Son was looking for it, but it was cut out. Loop forwards, and the ball has been missed at the back. So here come Brentford with Damsgaard advancing. Damsgaard towards the far stick, looking for Kevin Schade. His control let him down. Spurs have got plenty of bodies around him now. Schade still manages to keep it and then eventually loses out, but you were pointing to the far stick as the ball came in, as Norgard fizzes up towards Wisser. He loses out, and Kulusevski could lead a Tottenham counter here. Son wants it on the left. Kulusevski continues to carry and then plays a wretched pass which is easily cut out and smacked back upfield for Brentford. But as I was saying, Stephen, you were saying where the ball should have gone.
Yeah, you could see as they were breaking on the right hand side, Shade's pulled up a really good position. Mbeumo spots him and drops it in, and he has to hit that first time. The Tottenham players are too close as it's coming across, and there's not loads of pace in the cross either, so he could take that volley on. Maybe, sometimes you opt for the safety, but inside the box, a whole of 15 yards out, maybe less. You have to back yourselves in those situations.
So it is Tottenham in possession with a quarter of an hour played at the GTEC. Still waiting for the opening goal of the game. Likewise at Old Trafford, where it's Manchester United 0, Crystal Palace 0 in the other 2 o'clock kickoff in the Premier League at 4:30. Full commentary of Arsenal at home to Manchester City on 5 Live. Jed Spence collects in centre field and pings a pass through the middle for Richarlison. Just a bit too much juice on it with the outside of his boot, and it goes through to the Brentford keeper. Yeah,
the initial pass from Archie Gray into him. Spence in that midfield position turns really well, and it was just overhits that pass into Richarlison, who made a good run off the shoulder of Collins.
So Brentford knocking it around at the back at the moment, and now looking to try and clear it long upfield, which they're unable to do. And Kulusevski towards Basuma by the edge of the area, and Basuma and Spurs trying to be a bit too intricate. Mikey Moore dispossessed, and Johan Wisser holds it up. He's got his back to goal. He's just in front of his own penalty area as Ben Davies leaps in to make a challenge, and Thomas Frank perhaps a bit unhappy that there have been a number of Spurs niggly fouls, and no one's picked up a yellow so far.
Yeah, he is unhappy. Just when Brentford look like they've just got a chance to go and counter-attack Tottenham on that transition, Wissa does really well there to hold that ball up. Damsgaard steps in, and then there's an overload, and Boomer's gone down the right-hand side, Shade's gone down the left-hand side, and Ben Davies just flies into him, takes him out, kills the momentum.
Brentford in their own penalty area with Janelt, and now Aya clips up the line towards Mbeumo. He won't get there ahead of Davis, whose pass in field is picked up by Basuma. Son helps it on, but straight into Brentford hands, and Brian Mbeumo on the right flank has played a clever pass in towards Damsgaard in centre field. He's looking for Mbeumo to continue his run, which he had done, but he couldn't find him because Ben Davis managed to make the block.
I think everybody in the stadium expected Damsgaard to make that pass. That's exactly what he does. It was really clever play initially from Mbeumo inside, continues on his run, and as Damsgaard steps in, you just feel he's got to tread that right between them and put Tottenham in all sorts of problems. But Ben Davies does well to intercept it.
So goalless at the GTEC with just under 20 minutes played. Jed Spence taking his time to get play back on the way with this throw, eventually in towards Basuma, and then Spence retreats further to Ben Davis, who had the option of knocking it square to Archie Gray. He's brought it forwards himself, and Wisser's just bitten in to make the challenge. Jed Spence has given it away to Norgard, and here's Brian Mbeumo on the right flank, infield to Damsgaard, quickly switched out to Schade. Good control from him, he's into the area. Kevin Schade trying to find the space for the shot, which he has done, and it's blocked by Archie Gray. Important defending there from the Tottenham man to get his body in the way of that.
Yeah, good block from Gray. Shade does really well. It's a wonderful pass from Damsgaard across, just pings it into in the box, and he's 1v1 with Pedro Porro. Gets a little bit of luck, goes past him, but then as the shot opens up, Archie Gray stands his ground, gets his knee down, and it's a vital interception, to be honest.
So still 0-0, but Brentford trying to ask some questions as both keepers wait to be tested for the first time this afternoon. Collins knocks it square to find Aya, who knocks it further back to Collins. Square ball from him into Van den Berg. They've worked it from right to left neatly, have Brentford. Lewis Potter over the top for Damsgaard, who's running through the middle. His control just let him down at the last, and Jed Spence was able to step in and make the challenge, but nearly caught out by a ball through the middle once again there, Tottenham.
Yeah, as he steps in on that right foot, like I talked about, being a... just thought Mbeumo was going to break forward. Ooh, Kulusevski's caught him with his elbow there. But yeah, as he steps in, Damsgaard makes a brilliant run right down the middle. Tottenham haven't closed their lines off, and Spence is caught out wide, and just a little bit off the pace of that pass. Damsgaard's through and goal, but he spots it, and that's the advantage of being played left back as a right foot player so many times. And as you come inside, so you have the whole pitch to aim for. The run from Damsgaard was brilliant.
Spence with a chance to get a cross in towards Richarlison. Mikey Moore's in there, laid off here for Kulusevski. Brentford with enough bodies back to prevent him getting a shot away. Ange Postecoglou with his hands in the air. He can't believe that they didn't manage to fashion an attempt on goal from that particular move. Damsgaard with a beautiful piece of work though to nutmeg Pedro Porro and then pop it wide to Bryan Mbeumo. The fans around us really like that. Bryan Mbeumo now, they won't like that. Poor pass from him, which Son is able to block, and out it goes for a throw to Brentford.
Yeah, it's end-to-end stuff here, but good ball in the box from Jed Spence. Mikey Moore, can he hit that first time as it comes across him with his left foot? Opts to try and set it back, and there's loads of bodies in the way from Brentford. Kulusevski pulls a trigger, but it gets blocked. I think it's by Collins or Van den Berg. Both of them are out there quick to try and cut down that shot.
Lewis Potter, left flank for Brentford, has Mikey Moore come across to block him off, so it's back on halfway now with Van den Berg, and the pace just slows down a bit more now as a result. And it's Mbeumo on the right flank who has it for Brentford. Down the line for Damsgaard. Damsgaard thought about getting the cross in, thinks it's better to go back to Ayer instead. This is all midway inside the Brentford the Tottenham half at the moment, as Brentford just pop it around without any real concerns. No Spurs player really making a concerted effort to squeeze the play. Now Bentancur does go short to block off Norgard, and Janelt scoop forwards, almost reached Lewis Potter. They've got it back with Schade, 25 yards out. Damsgaard now decides against having a shot. Ayer tees it up for himself, perhaps he's into the area. Ayer back with Mbeumo now, and Bryan Mbeumo towards the far post, and the header is blocked off. Schade's won it back though. Here is Janelt. Brentford applying some pressure now. Janelt's cross, Wissa was waiting, good header by Davis, needed to get there, and Mbeumo keeps it alive. Bryan Mbeumo with the chance to get the ball in now for Brentford. Ayer's cross is cleared away to the edge of the area. Norgard, Brentford continuing to keep the pressure on Tottenham here, looking for the opening goal, in towards Wissa, difficult header, twisted his neck as best he could, but couldn't get the angle he was hoping for, and it goes wide.
Oh, there's a barrage of great crosses into the box from Brentford there. The first one that comes in, that Porro gets a nod on the far post to stop Schade from tapping this in, is wonderful defending, but then they just recycle, keep it going, and it ends up with a decent ball in. I think it was difficult for Wissa to try and redirect that back towards goal. We had a great angle of it, and it just fades away over the crossbar, but Brentford was starting to turn the screw there.
And Brentford coming forwards again, and Collins chasing his own up and under, almost rugby style there, as he kicked it forwards and then chased it down. Here is Mbeumo, 30 yards out from goal, nearly picked out Damsgaard, who made the run on the blind side. Schade almost nicked it back from Kulusevski in the D of the Tottenham penalty area. Bit dicey there from Dejan Kulusevski, but they've got away with it, and Kulusevski's trying to get on the end of a long ball forward from Porro now. Lewis Potter can tidy up. He's got Richarlison applying pressure, but he's done brilliantly there to tidy it up and get it back to his keeper.
Yeah, Lewis Potter, excellent, just calmness personified, taking that touch, bringing it back.
At the moment, the Spurs midfield is being overrun, you would say.
Yeah, it looks a bit ragged. I think Bissouma's getting caught out of position. Bentancur's trying to drop back in and help, but you could see out of possession, Bissouma's getting caught a little bit too high. I think he needs to drop back in to give a bit more solidity in front of that, which could be quite a vulnerable back two of Davies and Gray.
So midway through the first half, Brentford 0, Spurs 0. Bentancur on the halfway line for Tottenham, rolls it into Porro, goes back to Gray. Wissa almost had a nibble at him to try and take the ball away. Davis has played a useful pass through the middle for Bentancur, who's advancing, and now Jed Spence with a chance to have a pop at goal. It's blocked off by Collins, and then Kulusevski will keep it moving for Tottenham. Here's Mikey Moore on the right wing as Tottenham look at things. Gets the angle for the cross, which is a good one towards the far post. Richarlison arriving, unable to get there, and now Schade should be able to lead the counter for Brentford. Well, he thought there was a handball by Jed Spence as he flicked it away from him, and Tottenham have got it with Porro, and that's an awful attempt from Pedro Porro that sails well over the top.
Yeah, it is, to be honest. You can see Son is raging, having a bit of an argument here, but as Porro steps in, when it opens up for him and he's got a really good strike of the ball, he can hit them from there. But the pass was on to Son in the middle of the box, who'd made a darting run in from the left hand side. Tottenham now had a couple of opportunities. It's decent play from them in this end, but not testing the goalkeeper either side.
Yeah, it's been lacking in quality in the final third, you would say, so far, with 25 minutes gone and the score still 0-0. Heave forwards by Valdemarson, flicked up by Schade, and they think that there was a handball by Archie Gray there, but nothing given. So Basuma for Tottenham, up towards Bentancur on halfway. Bentancur pings over the top for Richarlison, should be the keeper's ball, and bounces through to Valdemarson in the end. It's a bit tricky for the Brentford keeper at the moment. The sun is beating down towards his goal. He did put a cap on a bit earlier and has now dispensed with it.
Yeah,
so
it's 50-50, isn't it? Literally half the goal is shade and half the goal is in the sun. So it's a hard one, because as soon as you step back into that sun, it's right in his eyes.
I wonder if that was part of the reason that they changed ends earlier on today, as Wissa collects on the left-hand side for Brentford, looking to get the cross in. Wissa held up at the moment by Davis, into the feet of Norgard. Lovely little pirouette turn to get into the area, but it also meant that the ball was slightly overrun and Gray was able to collect and clear. Cheap free kick conceded by Collins on Richarlison, just inside the Tottenham half.
Yeah, it is. Tottenham clear the lines. It's Collins right up behind him, and Richarlison just feels him coming, knows what's going to happen. It's good centre forward play just to draw the foul, relieve a bit of pressure from your side. But it's been such a frantic game without either team really causing too many problems, but it's been end to end.
Gray with the long loft forwards for more to chase. Lewis Potter was there as always, and Van den Berg can hook it up to halfway. Schade beaten to it by Porro, who may have just taken that out of play, but the assistant on this near side says that he just about managed to keep it in. Davis inside the centre circle for Tottenham, advances to halfway, 0-0 with 27 minutes gone. Mikey Moore, who's collected on this right hand side again. Nice pass to Kulusevski, edge of the area. Kulusevski poked it through, expected Mikey Moore to continue his run. He didn't, so Lewis Potter intercepts, and now Damsgaard has it over the top for Bryan Mbeumo. Spence over there to try and deal with him. Mbeumo took it beautifully, he's into the area. Bryan Mbeumo, good effort, saved well by Kinski. Excellent move from Brentford, and Mbeumo took the ball in his stride, came inside Jed Spence. His effort too close to the keeper though.
Yeah, everything about that move was beautiful apart from the finish. He caught it well, but just too close to the goalkeeper. The ball over the top from Damsgaard, touch and then step inside, but just didn't connect enough on it.
Here is Son now for Spurs. The game opening up as Son's effort is blocked, but Basuma's collected and hit, and it's deflected behind for a Tottenham corner.
It is. It's just end to end. It's been a brilliant watch without any real quality in the final third. You have to give credit to the defenders though. A lot of blocks, a lot of bodies in the line, winning headers, making it difficult for those attacking players to get the shots away and hit the target.
Yeah, a lot of huff and puff and energy and endeavour, but only the one save so far, which Kinski has just made from Bryan Mbeumo after a really nice Brentford move from back to front.
How good was this touch over the top of Mbeumo as he takes it out of the air?
Well, Son will take this corner for Spurs, down in front of the Tottenham Hotspur fans with 28 minutes gone, and it's an in-swinger from Son. It's a tough one to deal with. It's in! Spurs in front. The corner was whipped towards the near post. Valdemarson couldn't deal with it, and Tottenham have the lead. Brentford have probably been the better side. Son takes the congratulations, so it might have gone straight in from Son Heung-min, and it's Brentford 0, Spurs 1.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of confusion there between the goalkeeper Valdemarson. Jan Elt is in front of him and he's almost trying to push him out of the way. Ball's whipped him, there's great pace on it, it's very difficult, and as he tries to get his hand, Jan Elt is going backwards, comes off his own head and goes back in towards the goal, so it's an own goal, I feel. Yeah,
Vitaly Janelt gets the decisive touch beyond his own goalkeeper.
It's actually off his back.
Yeah, he was doing his best to try and get forwards, Vitaly Janelt, and he was just a bit boxed in by Basuma, and as he tried to get the ball away, it was off his back and in, and Ange Postecoglou punches the air in delight. I don't think that VAR are going to get involved in this as Spurs come back to get ready for the restart.
You can't see it. It's the ball that does the problem. There's pace on it. Goalkeeper's position is questionable. He's kind of stepping out off his line, and then gets caught, swings a kind of arm at it, but Janelt has his body in the wrong position, and he ends up coming off his back, going back into his own goal.
So it's Brentford 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1, and Vitaly Janelt's own goal the difference, and Brentford will feel a bit hard done by given the way that they had started the game. Here's Damsgaard looking for the immediate response. His cross is deflected behind for a Brentford corner, and that gets the home fans going. And
it is an immediate response. Brentford, Spence trying to drive forward, loses possession, works his way out to Damsgaard, gets a corner, and now Brentford have a chance to get. Listen, they've been excellent from set plays as well this season. The real problem Collins and Van den Berg can cause in the middle from these areas, and Mbeumo whips in such a dangerous ball.
Half an hour gone. Brentford 0, Tottenham 1. Vitaly Janelt's own goal a short time ago. The difference as things stand, but Mbeumo is stood over this corner, in swinger, good looking ball as well met though by Ben Davies, who gets good distance on his header. Janelt dabs it back to halfway, and Lewis Potter's going to have to go all the way back to his keeper Valdemarson, who's outside of his penalty area, and slaps it up towards Collins. Bentancur's there to clear, and Mikey Moore was coming from an offside position, so Janelt was waiting for the whistle, which doesn't come because the referee has given Brentford the advantage to keep the ball moving. I just wonder, Stephen, we were talking about the fact that Valdemarson put a cap on, then took it off. I don't know if the sunlight played an issue with his judgment there.
To be honest, I think from where the corner's been taken from, I think his back almost would have been to the sun, wouldn't it? He was facing opposite direction to it, so I just think a little bit of judgment. Gets caught in a poor position, then he tries to swing an arm at it. Oh, great touch.
Lewis Potter collects it in centre field, lovely pirouette, and now Mbeumo into the area. His cross is cut out by Bentancur. It's back for Ayer though, who recycles and finds Brian Mbeumo. Mbeumo thinks about putting the cross in. Spurs have got a few bodies around him, and Mbeumo rolls it back to Collins square for Van den Berg. Remember, Tottenham took the lead against Leicester City and lost that by 2-1 last Sunday, as Mbeumo scuttles forwards on the right flank. Damsgaard made the overlapping run. Ayer now with a chance to get the ball in. It's gone behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, and Brentford are just, they've been industrious. They've looked good. They've got onto really good areas, and you know what, they've put in some really good crosses. It's just getting that contact and getting that final touch, that last minute decision. They've just lacked a little bit, but you can see they're growing as the game goes on, and Tottenham are going to have to defend really well, I think, to keep this 1-0 cushion, because Brentford look dangerous in the forward areas.
Brentford 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1, as it's given away cheaply in the Tottenham half, and Damsgaard could perhaps whip the cross in. He has done, and Davis is underneath it to clear. Damsgaard picks it up once again though, and his ball in this time is cleared by Gray, only as far as Janelt, 30 yards out from goal. Brentford 0, Spurs 1, 33 minutes played in West London. Damsgaard has another opportunity to cross, low flat ball to Ayer instead, and Ayer motoring through. Norgard picks it up and hits, and Kinski beats it away. Good hit, good save, and Tottenham remain in front.
Yeah, great strike from Norgard. Sits up to him, really good volley, but Brentford have just put the pressure on, been getting into the forward area. You're saying that bit of quality, and as he steps into the box here, it's a side foot volley, brings the control down, but it's two at the goalkeeper, two straight down the line of Kinski, who pulls off a decent save.
Corner for Brentford. Brandon Mbeumo's going to be the man to take it for Brentford. Valdemarsen's come over to the halfway line to have a word with a member of the Brentford coaching staff, and now starts to get back towards his own goal. Damsgaard lofts it in from the short corner, headed back across goal, defended well by Bentancur once again. He's won a few important headers back there, the Tottenham midfielder. Poor header by Son Heung-min. Meanwhile, Collins has it on the left wing for Brentford, who are looking for an equaliser here as we go into the last 10 minutes or so of the first half. Here is Damsgaard in the centre circle for Brentford. He nearly overran it and allowed Richarlison to pick his pocket, and then has to lunge in as the ball was banged up towards Richarlison on halfway. Damsgaard's managed to wrestle it back from the Brazilian now, but Richarlison's done ever so well to get it back once again, and Kulusevski on the left flank as Mikey Moore in the middle. Moore takes it nicely and is then just leaving off it. You're not going to get a penalty for that, I'm afraid. Here is Aya spinning clear of Richarlison and dragged back by Richarlison, so that is a free kick for Brentford.
Just a bit of naivety from Mikey Moore. Ball in from Kulusevski is really good, and he has to hit it first time. You don't get a chance to take a touch there. You're going back towards the goal. You're basically eating up your space between yourself and the goal, and Collins comes across, gives him a little shove, but the Damsgaard getting caught in the middle of the park by Richarlison. He obviously looked up and just didn't see Richarlison closing them down. Got away with it.
Brought forwards from the back by Sepp van den Berg. 10 minutes to go until half-time. Brentford 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1. A Vitaly Janelt own goal, the difference, as Porro in the right-back area lifts it forwards for Kulusevski to chase, who's made up some ground on Van den Berg, having given the defender a few yards head start, but Van den Berg has safely shepherded it home to his goalkeeper, and now he rolls it out to Aya in the right-back area for Brentford. Spence is all over Brian Mbumo, who is using his back to goal as the blocking area, and Spence has fouled him.
Yeah, it's such great strength, isn't it, for Mbumo, just to hold it up, protect the ball, draw the foul.
Lewis Potter on halfway for Brentford. Back to Van den Berg. 36 minutes on the clock. Damsgaard up forwards to Lewis Potter, tight to this left touchline, now backwards to Damsgaard on halfway. Brentford have had their chances, but the ones that they have managed to create, they've put straight down the throat of Antonin Kinski, who's made a couple of decent saves, but they weren't the most taxing for him. Norgard had one of those efforts, and he is in possession at the moment. Backwards to square to Janelt, midway inside the Tottenham half. Damsgaard now sends it left for Lewis Potter, who thought about getting the cross in with his right boot, and now darts towards the byline and offloads for Damsgaard, who has got a crossing position. That's a better looking ball in, and Sharda got something on it, but it was not the contact he was hoping for. A glancing blow that goes well wide.
Yeah, again, dangerous ball in from Damsgaard. To be honest, I thought he was going to take the shot in as the goal opens up, but whips into a really good area. Sharda just the little flick in, and I think Wissa is expecting him to have a goalward attempt instead of a knock on. It just is caught on his heels a little bit and can't react to the touch.
Kinski takes the short goal kick and slips as he plays it forwards, but it's worked out for Tottenham anyway, because Richarlison's collected it in centre field. Now it's Son Heung-min on the left hand side for Spurs. Son, is he going to cut in and go for goal? He is, but he's going to find a cluster of red and white shirts block his route to goal. Jed Spence gets it going again for Tottenham. On the left hand side, Spence has Mbumo in front of him, down to walking pace now with Basuma, with Tottenham leading by a Janelt own goal to 0. Archie Gray by the centre circle, short pass to Porro, work to the right now, and Mikey Moore, who's got Lewis Potter in front of him. Mikey Moore gets away from him and gets towards the edge of the area. Kulusevski collected, angles tight, Kulusevski across. He's unlucky that there were no Spurs players there to tap it into the empty net. He went so far wide, having a shot goal which wasn't advisable, so he popped it into an area where if anyone in a Spurs shirt had been there, it was 2-0.
It's brilliant play, isn't it, from Kulusevski? Wonderful first touch to get away from his man, and just pulls that cross back into such a dangerous area. And unfortunately for him, Son has not read and got on the back post, and Richarlison is pulled off for the cutback, so no one there to take advantage of it.
Corner then for Spurs as a result, and we know what happened from the last corner from the left hand side as Tottenham look at things. It was Son's whip in and off Janelt and in for the only goal so far. Son over this one once again, and it's going to be another one towards that near post area, given where all the players are congregating, and the whistle has gone from the referee because Janelt is in the back of the net. He hasn't put the ball in the back of the net this time, but he has ended up in there himself, and Jared Gillett just wants to try and sort a few things out. Yeah,
Basuma and Janelt just bit of grappling, bit of holding each other. To be fair, Janelt puts his arm around Basuma's neck initially, then Basuma reacts and pushes them away. But you look at Tottenham, they feel that they're trying to surround the keeper. They think that maybe another opportunity may come if they put the ball right on top of him again, because he wasn't the most convincing, was he? I think they've had experience with with Vicario over the last few seasons about teams just piling pressure on them when they've noticed what might be a little bit of a flaw, so they're trying to take advantage.
You do see it so often these days that they surround the goalkeeper and try and make it difficult, and block him off so he can't come for the cross, and then you get the countermeasure from the defending team that are putting minders in front of the opposition players to try and give the keeper some breathing space. And still it goes on, the pushing and shoving just in front of Valdemarsson. Jared Gillett keeping a close eye on things, and the ball is whipped in, the header's flicked over the top by Kulusevski for a goal kick.
Yeah, decent ball by Son, but I don't think he gets enough trajectory on it. He needs to get it further in, almost like the last one, towards that goal, because there's so many bodies in there. It would have been very difficult for Brentford to clear. So much jostling and harassing for position.
40 minutes gone, and Brentford with this goal kick, which is taken by Valdemarsson. Long upfield. Wissa should have won the header, but it came off his shoulder, and Spurs have got it with Kulusevski just inside his own half. Dejan Kulusevski to Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore has to go back to Porro, and it's all the way back to Gray just outside his own box now. Square pass from him to Ben Davies, who feeds Jed Spence on the left, and Spence has got some room to work with here and has taken full advantage and got well over halfway. Son Heung-min now takes up the running, but he's retreated back to Bentancur, and Spurs build again in centre field with Basuma advancing, and Basuma thinking about the hit goalwards, which was testing for Valdemarsson. He got down to make the stop, it bounced just in front of the Brentford goalkeeper, and he held on to it well.
As Basuma steps in, you can just tell he wasn't fully convinced about himself taking the shot on, I don't think. And then it's a half attempt. It's a decent effort, but he never really connects to it as much as he would like.
Son Heung-min is picking up the first yellow card of the game, as Mbeumo was in full flight on halfway, got away from him, and then Son bundled him over, and Jared Gillett gets out the caution.
Yeah, Brentford fans were happy to see yellow card come here, because Tottenham have done this throughout the game. They've tried to stifle Brentford on those quick transitions, just trying to get in their way, commit those little cynical fouls.
And so it's a Brentford free kick, which is just inside the Tottenham half, and Valdemarsson is going to take it for Brentford, so he's actually over halfway as he gets set to deliver. You want to make sure it's a good delivery, otherwise he could be embarrassed if Spurs come forwards quickly. Valdemarsson shielding his eyes from the sun as he does float it forwards, and it's headed across goal by Sharda. Damsgaard's in there, hacked away by Bentancur, doesn't get much distance on the clearance. Mikey Moore should collect for Tottenham, and then Kevin Sharda tries to win it back, and Sharda comes off Mikey Moore. It's brought back for an earlier foul on Sharda, so it's a free kick for Brentford about 10 yards outside the Spurs penalty area.
Yeah, Brentford are quite inventive with the set plays. I'm actually looking down at teammate mine, Keith Andrews, who's on the touchline, who I think he's set piece coach for them, and they constantly try and shift the ball to create a different angle, make it more difficult for the defenders, because you then have to adjust your position. So whether it's a pass sidewards or one pass back, just to shift that team, and then you have a set where you're trying to get in the space in behind.
So Brentford free kick with 3 minutes of normal time left in the first half, and Mbeumo and Damsgaard are the two Brentford players who are over this one for Thomas Frank's side. Keith Andrews, as you mentioned, the set-piece coach, is right at the edge of the technical area, having a glance at what they've got up their sleeve for this one. Mbeumo and Damsgaard. Damsgaard has left it, so it's going to be Brian Mbeumo, left-footed from the left-hand side towards the penalty spot region. Kinski's come and has got a good fist on the ball, and Jed Spence will get to the rebound as well, so Tottenham can get upfield here if he's found Kulusevski, which he has. Kulusevski, who decides to go back to Archie Gray inside the Tottenham penalty area. Square ball from him to Pedro Porro. Spurs leading by a 0-0 with 2 minutes of normal time in the half left to play, and a poor header by Van den Berg has given the ball to Son in centre field. Son looks up, sizes up his options, and then decides to just roll it back to Pedro Porro, and Spurs go all the way back to halfway, and Gray knocks it square to Ben Davies. 2 minutes of normal time remaining in the first half. Vitaly Janelt's own goal. The difference between the sides came from a Son corner that was whipped in towards the near post, and Janelt, in trying to clear the ball, saw it come off his back and go into his own net. Spence with a beautiful touch on the left for Richarlison, who's motoring towards the edge of the area on the left hand side, goes over. Tottenham want a penalty. Kevin Sharda is a man who's in the dock. Richarlison is looking aggrieved that nothing came his way. Well, massive appeals from the Spurs players. Of course, in the background it'll be being checked by the VAR Graham Scott this afternoon, as Son Heung-min has it for Spurs. Left-hand side, 90 seconds of normal time to play in the first period. Pedro Porro in a central region for Tottenham has worked it to the right side, and Mikey Moore darts towards Lewis Potter. Lewis Potter stands firm, and now it's with Norgard, who's inside his own area, and it's not an easy pass on for him, but he's found Van den Berg and Janelt, and intricate passing from Brentford inside their own area, which I think always gives fans the heebie-jeebies at times.
It is when we're so used to seeing it now, but still you have that little moment of what are they doing there, but it's tried and tested. It's just when it goes wrong, you're losing the ball in such a precarious position.
Here is Norgard then for Brentford, bringing it out from the back as the Spurs bodies retreat back into their own half and get into position. Wait to see how much additional time the fourth official is going to signal, because we've got 30 seconds of regulation time left to play here at the GTEC, with Brentford trailing Tottenham 1-0. It's with Collins on halfway for Brentford, forwards to Ayer, right hand side as Brentford look at things. Down the line for Kevin Schade, who's gone across to the right side now, and he and Mbeumo have switched flanks.
It's interesting actually, Mbeumo's just come over this left hand side, and you have to admit, Mbeumo one-on-one against Porro, you'd fancy him, wouldn't you, because he just has that. There you go.
And he's got away from Porro and got to the byline, low ball in. It's a good run, it's a poor cross, because it didn't clear Archie Gray, who was the first man.
I was just about to say, Porro he just switches off every now and again, and he doesn't often see the run, and Mbeumo there just creeps in behind them. Good pass in, and it's a good position I think from Archie Gray in the end.
We just saw a replay of that earlier half appeal from Spurs for a penalty. Schade clearly won the ball before Richarlison took a tumble. So 2 minutes added on at the end of this first half. Brentford corner, Damsgaard is going to deliver it, and I see this a few times now, the referee coming across to inspect if the ball is inside the quadrant. Damsgaard will move it about a fraction of an inch, and then we'll be good to go.
It is crazy, isn't it? Like, this is when people start getting the oranges and rulers out and start trying to show the shape of the ball, but
in it goes and cleared away.
It's a great ball in, really dangerous set play. Richarlison I think comes off for the corner, but Van den Berg steaming across that near post.
Brentford corner again then, final minute of additional time, and Damsgaard this time ensures it's inside the quadrant, so the ref doesn't need to come and inspect. Can Brentford do something with this last play of the half? It's out towards Mbeumo, edge of the area. His hit was certainly goal bound and blocked by Richarlison with his head. He's gone to ground as a result, and Mbeumo puts his hands on his head, which suggests he thinks this could well have been a leveller had Richarlison
I think this was
away.
Going in. He's absolutely caught this flush. The only thing is it's going straight down the middle, but on his right foot he's caught this so well. It's a beautiful strike.
Seconds remaining of stoppage time in the first half, as the long throw is hurled in and flicked on handily and cleared away by Porro. Forwards from Lewis Potter, won by Bentancur, and Richarlison loops it forwards for Son. Can Spurs do something right at the end of the half? Son on the left wing, Lewis Potter across to try and hold him up. Son has support arriving from Moore and Kulusevski. Backwards of square to Basuma. There's space on this near side for Pedro Porro, who's collected it, and Porro's put it in, and there was nobody in a Spurs shirt to collect, and that is the last action of a pretty frantic and frenetic first half, which Spurs are leading by a 1-0. Stephen Kelly.
Yeah, really good, entertaining game, even though you look at the amount of actually clear-cut chances there created, but both teams energetic, getting forward. Brentford have probably edged it, I think, in the final third, but Tottenham are 1-0 winners with that decent set play and just not being able to deal with the pace in the ball.
As for Brentford, do you think they'll feel a little bit hard done by, given how they've played in that first half?
Yeah, I think from the two sides, they were definitely the one that looked at creating more chances, looked more dangerous in the final third. Keeper pulled off a couple of good saves, and they're getting into good areas, but it's just that final third, that pass, that decision making, can you make it count? And I don't think they've tested the goalkeeper enough for the amount of times they've been into those good positions.
Right, well, we'll be back for the second half here at the GTEC, but for the time being we can join 5 Live and their coverage of Manchester United against Crystal Palace and all of the rest of the day's sports news.
Getting the ball playing on the half turn, bringing other people into possession into the game, but all of that's happening too far from goal as far as United's concerned. In the first 6 or 7 minutes, I think he had 2 moments inside the Crystal Palace penalty area. You thought, oh, here we go, maybe they have found something, but Crystal Palace quickly adjusted to find the answer to stop him playing, and since then he's not really been able to get in the game.
See, Eberici Eze is straight out onto the pitch to warm up. Perhaps we might see him then in the second half. But actually, just from Palace's attacking point of view, Leon, they've missed chances, but it seems so easy for them to play through that back three and get opportunities in on goal like Mateta's just before half-time.
Yeah, I think it's when opposition teams are allowed to get 3v2 in the middle of the pitch, because United have, whether they're back three or a back five, they defend across, and then you've got Ugarte and Bruno Fernandes, it is today, trying to marshal that whole area. And the moment that Lerma or Hughes get the ball and Kamada or Sarr just pop into those spaces either side, Crystal Palace are able to make nice passes in there and start looking like they can create chances, like a number of teams have since that I've seen play against Manchester United. But Crystal Palace, if it was me at half-time, I'd be having a few words with a few of my teammates that if we're just better in possession, if you're a bit more careful with those through balls, Mateta will have had a lot more chances than they've actually given him in this first half. So I'm sure that'll be the message in that dressing room at half-time.
Leon, Ali, thank you very much. So Manchester United 0, Crystal Palace 0 at half-time. What about Brentford Tottenham on 5 Sports Extra? It's half-time there, Aaron Paul.
Brentford 0, Tottenham 1, a really scrappy contest, but crucially Spurs are ahead. The goal came just before the half-hour mark. Heung-min Son with the corner from the far side. Hakon Valdemarsson deputising for the injured Mark Flecken may have miscommunicated with his defender Viti Janout, who the ball deflected off and rolled into the back of the net. In the keeper's defence, sunshine beating down on that part of the pitch, and so his vision may have been impeded. Brentford, well, they nearly equalised minutes later. Christian Norgard forcing a fabulous flying save from Antonin Kinski, and Thomas Frank's side, they are pushing Spurs, but lacking a little bit of quality in the final third. Ange Postecoglou's side, well, they've struggled, haven't they, this season, starting the day in 16th. What 3 points would do for them. Brentford 0 break.
In the Women's Super League, full time from earlier, what a game. Manchester City 3, Arsenal 4. Couple of half-times. Brighton 1, Crystal Palace 0 and Everton 1, Leicester 1. Half-time whistle is imminent in the game between Liverpool and West Ham. Liverpool leading by 1-0. What about the game between Aston Villa and the leaders Chelsea? Sarah Mulcairns.
20 minutes gone, Steve. It's still goalless between Villa and Chelsea. Chelsea just growing into this, starting to exert a little bit more control on this. Lauren James had a deflected effort out for a corner. Natalie Bjorn headed over from that corner. Cuthbert as well, just moments ago, had a really good effort wide. So they're just starting to get a little bit of control on this. 1 point though for their keeper, Hannah Hampton, sorry Steve, she didn't clear the ball properly from outside her area, and she had to rush backwards. Gabby Nunes put a shot in, but Hampton was able to gather it and spare her blushes. 20 minutes in, it's Villa 0, Chelsea 0.
Thank you, Sarah, and you can watch that right now if you want on BBC Two. Back to the cricket. India's record T20 score at the Wankhede is 240, Dan Norcross. Any chance?
Oh yeah, they're going to get that easily, I'd say. They've just brought up their 200 and they've still got another, 27 balls to go, and they are going great guns. We've had 16 sixes and 14 fours. It's been a clinic from Abhishek Sharma. He's just batted brilliantly, this young left-hander. This is a new look Indian side after Kohli and Rohit Sharma have retired, and the youth that has come through the IPL is just pulverising England at the moment. Jofra Archer's brought up his 50, but not in a good way. He's none for 55 with a couple of balls left in his spell. Bryden Carter's bowled exceptionally, 3 for 21 from 3, a couple of wickets for Mark Wood, but this is a very flat pitch. It's a very short series of very short boundaries. I would have said at the start that 210, 220 was par, but I think, Steve, that record is going to fall. 202 for 5 with, 26 balls still to go, and Abhishek Sharma still there on 108 not out.
Thank you very much, Dan. It's a second half commentary on the way here on 5 Live of Manchester United 0, Crystal Palace 0, and on 5 Sports Extra of Brentford 0, Tottenham 1 in the Premier League. Arsenal versus Manchester City in full at 4:30. So we'll make our first trip of the afternoon to the Emirates after the news on 5 Live with Nick Hatfield.
The voice of the UK.
And the home of the Six Nations.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thank you, Steve. Good afternoon. President Trump says tariffs on Mexico and Canada may bring some pain to the US, but will all be worth the price. Canada has announced its own 25% tariffs on US goods in retaliation. Mexico is also saying it will introduce similar retaliatory measures. Mr. Trump has also imposed 10% in extra taxes on Chinese goods. John Kunkel is a senior economics advisor at the United States Study Centre.
I think one of the theories really is that the only potential break on President Trump in this area will be some sort of financial market reaction. We know he's very sensitive to the stock market. But look, broadly, I think most economists are concerned about the impact on inflation and then the impact on growth.
The government has announced 4 new laws to tackle the rise of child sexual abuse images generated by artificial intelligence. The UK will become the first country to make it illegal to possess, make or distribute AI tools designed to create child sexual abuse material. Dr. Catherine Breslin is an expert in artificial intelligence and says the technology is advancing rapidly.
A few years ago, if you wanted to create sort of image in a particular domain, it would take you a lot of work to fine-tune it to that particular use. And we're seeing less and less of that now. You can use these tools sort of out of the box. If you're using tools that companies provide, they do this training to try and align to safety values. But obviously, that can be easy to get around. People are finding ways to sort of jailbreak these models.
The British husband of a Thai woman whose body was found in the Yorkshire Dales more than 20 years ago has been arrested on suspicion of her murder. Lamduan Armitage had remained unidentified for 15 years until her family saw a news report and came forward. David Armitage, who's lived in Thailand since her death, was arrested when he returned to the UK. And a woman has died in Australia and thousands forced to flee their homes after torrential rainfall caused flooding in northern Queensland. More than 26 inches of rain has fallen in some areas in the past 24 hours. Forecasters say these could be the worst floods in the region in more than 60 years.
The Six Nations.
Here come the fireworks, here come the flames.
Rugby's greatest championship returns. Live commentary of every home nations match across BBC Sounds and the BBC Sport app.
What a game! What a finish!
Ireland can be so proud of this team.
And the Rugby Union Weekly podcast is now daily with all the best insight and analysis from the biggest names in the game. The Six Nations.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is 5 Live Sport
with Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
And there's been a wicket in the cricket, Dan Norcross.
Yeah, but it's still not Abhishek Sharma. It's Rinku Singh out LBW. A lovely ball from Archer. Pitched on middle, was going to hit the top of off stump. Rinku referred it, but it was shown to be hitting. So India lose a review. They're 202 for 6 now. 4 overs left. Abhishek Sharma still there on 108, not out.
At 3, both old firm teams are in action in the Scottish Premiership. Leaders Celtic are at Motherwell, who are without a manager after Stuart Kettlewell left the club last week. Gavin Wallace is at Fir Park.
I am indeed, Steve. Good afternoon. And that was partly because of abuse that him and his family had received from parts of the Motherwell fan. Their chief executive, Brian Caldwell, turned down a request to come and join us on 5 Live today. He did tell Motherwell TV, though, it's not just Motherwell related, and you always get a minority of people who come to shout and swear at the football. That said, then, the team news for the Steelmen and Stevie Frail takes over today. Dom Thompson slots in. He's joined from League One side Blackpool. Luke Armstrong makes his first side. The former Carlisle and Hartlepool United player. There's 3 changes to the team that lost last week for them against St Johnstone. Celtic, though, making 4 changes to the team that lost at Villa Park midweek. McCowan, Carter Vickers, Maeda and Ralston all in for Yang, Engels, Scales and Johnston. A drop. Jota starts on the bench, and it's worth noting that Motherwell haven't won this fixture in 43 attempts.
Rangers are second. They are 10 points behind Celtic and they host Ross County at Ibrox. Kenny Crawford.
Yeah, Steve, Rangers find themselves in a sort of no man's land at the moment in second place. 10 points behind leaders Celtic, as you say, and 13 ahead of third place Dundee United. Philippe Clement's side have won their last 3 league games, and a comfortable home victory is what the home crowd expects and craves today. They might also expect more goals from a revitalised Cyril Dessers. A striker scored 6 in his last 5 games, including that cracker at Old Trafford. John Suter and Clinton Insiala start in the host defence today, with Yanis Hadji coming back into midfield. As for 11th place Ross County, a shock point or 3 would be most welcome as they peer over their shoulder at bottom place St Johnstone returning to form.
In League One, there is a 3 o'clock kick-off between 20th place Bristol Rovers and Peterborough, who are in 18th. Arsenal are up to second in the WSL after a 4-3 win against Manchester City at the Joy Stadium this lunchtime. Arsenal had led 2-0 and 3-2. City fought back. Stina Blackstenius got the winner 12 minutes from time. One of Arsenal's goal scorers was defender Lotte Wubben-Moy.
In the past, this has always been a tough place to come, as you say, for every team. They've got unbelievable facilities, and it's great to see that investment, but also the way that they play, this stadium suits them. So for us coming here, knowing the history of not only the rivalry but having troubles here, we knew that it was a win that we had to secure, and for our sort of morale and confidence, it allows us to get back to winning ways immediately in the league, and put the pressure on everyone else.
Now, it may only be briefly, but it does take you back up to second in the WSL table. How do you see it all as a player? Do you see Chelsea as out of sight, or do you see them as a team that you can still rein in?
I'm going to use the words of Mario Caldente, who was woman of the match today. Poco a poco, day by day. Take it as it comes. You never know what can happen, and that's the beauty of football in many ways, but also the beauty of controlling what you can control. Do what you can and then let the rest come, and I've got a smile on my face because who knows what can come, and that's why the fans love it, that's why we love it, and that's why we work every day for it.
What a great answer that was. Manchester City 3, Arsenal 4 in the WSL. We can only hope, John Murray, that Arsenal versus Manchester City is half as good.
Well, let's hope so. It was certainly exciting, wasn't it, when they met at the Etihad back in the early weeks of the season in that 2-2 draw. Remember how John Stones scored the equaliser in the 8th minute of added time.
Matt Upson is alongside John Murray for commentary. Afternoon, Matt.
Afternoon, Steve.
This is a proper modern day aggro needle fixture, isn't it? And we don't get that many of these anymore.
Yeah, ended up a little bit tasty, didn't it, at the Etihad in that game earlier in the season. Remember Erling Haaland's reaction, and got a little bit heated, and whether or not that will carry on into this game is two top teams, hugely competitive players, all well aware of each other and each other's capabilities, and I think it's going to be very hard fought this afternoon.
Let's be honest, Matt, we hope it does continue, don't we?
Yeah, it is good though, Steve, isn't it?
Great.
To have that kind of needle and the rivalry. We've seen it over the past. I mean, we've been at Arsenal, Manchester United over the years, and various different clubs that have that kind of rivalry, and different today in that usually it's probably 1 and 2, or at least 1 and 3 in the table. With Liverpool with that really big stretch lead, there's a lot of pressure on Arsenal here at home. It's going to be a tough game for them.
Yeah, I think, John Murray, we might just lean into Matt playing in the famous Arsenal-Manchester United rivalry at some point after 4 o'clock. Do you think this is bigger for Arsenal, given the week that they have? Yes,
I think just because they are so much closer to Liverpool, even though Liverpool have the lead that they do now, it does feel as though it's even more the case now that every match is a must-win match for Arsenal in the Premier League, to just try and stay in touch. So I think you'd have to say yes. And actually, just a little bit of news. I know there was a doubt over David Raya, the Arsenal goalkeeper, whether he'd be able to be involved today. Well, we've seen pictures sitting in here in the commentary position. We've seen pictures from down in the stadium of the Arsenal players arriving, and David Raya is among them. So the expectation would be that he would start the match.
All right, Arsenal versus Manchester City in full at 4:30. We're ready for the start of the second half at Old Trafford. Ali.
Perfect timing, Steve. John Brooks blows his whistle. Second half gets underway. Manchester United 0, Crystal Palace 0. Manchester United in the red shirts, white
shorts. Thank you very much to Steve Crossman and co over on 5 Live, where you can hear commentary of Crystal Palace against Manchester United. That one is 0-0 at Old Trafford. Here at the G-Tech, Brentford trailing by a goal to 0, and Brentford out first and in a huddle at the moment. Stephen Kelly, who is alongside me. What do you think the message from Thomas Frank has been to them?
More of the same, really. Can we be a bit more clinical in the second half when we get to that final third, picking the right pass, the right options, and test the goalkeeper more? They've got themselves into a lot of really good areas against Tottenham, and they just haven't been able to test the keeper enough. So I think more of the same. Tottenham, though, defensively have been solid enough, but I would say with their record this season, it's going to be a tough ask to keep Brentford out.
Well, there has been a Tottenham change at the break, and Bergvall has come on for Spurs, and I think Mikey Moore is the player who's gone off.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, and you would fear Bergvall will come into that central area Son be on the left, Kulusevski on the right, Bergvall. To be fair, for Tottenham, for when it comes to being a bit more solid in the middle of the park, we'll offer him, he's more of a box-to-box midfield. Like he's not going to be playing as a number 10, so he'll drop in with Basuma and Bentancur and try and be a little bit more solid in the middle of the park.
So Bergvall for more at the break as Tottenham get set to start the second half here at the GTEC. And we are now underway in the second half. Spurs kicking from right to left, and they have Kinski in goal, Spence Davis, Graham Porro at the back, Bentancur, Son, Basuma in midfield, Bergvall, Kulusevski and Richarlison, the front three, if you will. For Brentford, it is Ayer, Collins, Van den Berg and Lewis Potter in front of Valdemarson as Mbeumo comes forwards on the right. Early doors for Brentford in this second half, and Mbeumo looking for the angle for the shot, just lost his footing, has managed to get it back to Johan Wissa. Bit quiet from Johan Wissa so far, such a key player for Brentford, but haven't seen too much of him up until now. Here is Ayer on the right hand side for Brentford. Spurs with plenty of bodies back now, so the momentum has been lost a bit for Brentford, and they go all the way back to Collins just shy of halfway.
Yeah, I think he's done well at times. The ball's into him, the servicing has not been great, and he's not had a lot to feed off.
Chance for Damsgaard to whip it across from the right. Basuma has lunged in with a challenge that Brentford felt was illegal. The referee deemed it fair, and Basuma has the ball now, and Damsgaard's had a bite back at him and has won the ball back. Here is Janelt, and Wissa with a really poor heavy touch by the D of the area, couldn't control it, and it squirts back to the Tottenham goalkeeper Kinski.
Yeah, it's a great ball into him, just whipped into his feet. His touch needs to be better there, and just saying, I don't think he's had the best of service or much at all up to this point, but there he has to be better.
Well, Brentford have got a free kick. They feel it's been a long time coming, as there's a trip on Kevin Schade out on the left hand side. So I was just going through that Brentford side for you. Valdemarson in goal, Ayer, Collins, Van den Berg and Lewis Potter at the back. Janelt, who scored the own goal that separates the sides, and Norgard in midfield with Schade, Damsgaard and Mbeumo supporting Johan Wissa through the middle, who, as Stephen Kelly was saying, has not exactly had plenty of service to utilise so far. Damsgaard will take this free kick then for Brentford, who came into this looking to win back-to-back league games for the first time this season. Spurs arriving in that rotten run of form, 24 points on the board. Only once have they had fewer at this stage of a Premier League season. That was in the late 1990s. Mbeumo will take this free kick against the Spurs side, who are at the moment on course for 3 points. Long way to go those, and Mbeumo lifts it towards the penalty spot. Bergvall and Bentancur both went for it. It will break for Lewis Potter to heave in a big deep one. Damsgaard gets there but can't keep it in, and it's behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, I think Lewis Potter will take a little bit off that. He just tries to absolutely whip it into that far post, but gets right underneath it, and Damsgaard was no chance of keeping that in.
Jed Spence, left back area for Spurs, in towards Son, whose ball round the corner is too telegraphed and cut out by Van den Berg. On halfway for Brentford, he goes all the way back to his goalkeeper Valdemarson. No sun for him to deal with at the moment, but looking at Kinski, he's putting his arm across his eyes to try and shield himself from the sun. No cap from the Tottenham goalkeeper either. We saw Valdemarson toy with the idea of putting one on, but he dispensed with it in the end.
Yeah, well, the sun has actually just come around. It's going to be right in the eyes of Kinski for this whole half. It's not going to drop behind the stand either, so it'd be interesting to see how he deals with that. And the Tottenham defenders, who have dealt really well from crosses and long balls, I think, so far throughout this game, but it does make heading it quite difficult if you lose it in the sunshine.
That's Stephen Kelly with us here at the GTEC, where it's Brentford 0, Spurs 1. Brentford, who have won 7 of their 9 Premier League victories this season at home, although they haven't won any of their last 4 in the league here, and are trailing to that Vitaly Janelt own goal at the moment. It's with Ben Davies just outside the Tottenham box. Bergvall gets it back to Kinski, who had a bit of a worrying moment early in the first half when he was almost caught in possession. Now Damsgaard's flicked it through for Mbomo. Good take. Mbomo's cross is slightly behind Damsgaard. Why didn't he have a shot himself there, Brian Mbomo? The angle wasn't ideal, but he would have still have backed him to have chanced his arm as Spence leaps in and makes the challenge, and Spurs come away with it with Richarlison. Now it's Son surging over halfway. Son Heung-min. Advantage was played because Richarlison was flattened. Son now works his way to the edge of the area, looking for the angle to perhaps have a shy at goal. Can't do so, and Son has lost out to Norgard, and Brentford have got it back.
Yeah, it's a good break from Tottenham. Son just overdoes it on the edge of the box. You think a couple of chances to pull the trigger, doesn't let it go. And Mbomo, that moment that he goes in on his right foot, you fancy him. He's got a decent strike on his right foot as well, and the goal is open. It's a tough angle, but you think just smash it towards the goalkeeper.
Mbomo trying to challenge Shed Spence, and he's done so, and Ayer gets it back to Collins as the cries of "Come on Brentford" ring out amongst the home fans. 5 gone in the second half. They still trail Tottenham by a goal to nil. Van den Berg on halfway for Brentford, with half the pitch in sun, the other in shadow. Brentford's half is the one that isn't bathed in lovely sunshine here on a gorgeous day in West London. Yes, it's chilly, but blue skies overhead and the sun is shining. And is there finally going to be some cause for cheer for Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League after that wretched run? Here is Mbomo in centre field. Work wide for Kevin Schade. They've got a lot of red and white in the area. Schade looking for some of them. It's too high for Damsgaard. Well, nice idea. Tried to float it back stick. Damsgaard appealed away, but he needed to be about 10 foot tall to get on the end of the cross.
Yeah. As Schade comes back in on his right foot as well, Damsgaard's peeled off into the far post in a great position. Spence has got caught underneath the ball and it's just lofts it too high. Would have been a great opportunity for Damsgaard, but that's what they've done when they got to those final thirds. Just those moments, haven't they, just let themselves down by that final pass or that final shot.
And Tottenham fans singing Spurs are on their way to Wembley. They've got that League Cup semi-final second leg at Anfield to come on Thursday, protecting that 1-0 lead that they take in to that game. You would have thought that Mickey van der Ven is being rested today with that game in mind, as Schade comes forwards on the left for Brentford, perhaps just building up a tiny bit of momentum now as Lewis Potter looks for options infield from central midfield area. It's a good spray out towards Mbomo, who's brought it down nicely. Mbomo backwards of square for Norgard, first time fist ball in, and Kinski got a hand to it to get it away, and Schade sent it over the top. Well, I think it was a cross from Norgard, but Kinski dived down to get a hand to it. It could have gone anywhere, and it came to Schade, who was wild on the rebound.
Yeah, it's a wicked cross in. He just tries to whip it into that far post, and it just bounces and drops in front of Kinski, who I feel he has to get down. If he doesn't touch this, Wissa is flying in behind him, and I think he taps it in, so it's a really good touch from the keeper to stop it, end up in the back of the net, but the ball in was just so dangerous.
Bray closed down by Wissa. It's come off Johan Wissa for a throw, and Brentford trying to capitalise on some momentums. We're just seeing a replay of that chance again. Yep, you're right, Kinski flings himself at it, and although it's not on target, it counts as a save really, because otherwise Wissa is going to tap it in. Yeah,
Wissa's sliding in behind, and it's going to come off him, so you think it's a really important touch from the goalkeeper.
Bissouma to Bergvall, given away to Norgard. Now it's Damsgaard on the left-hand side for Brentford, who trail Spurs by a goal to nil. 7 minutes gone in the second half. Backwards of square for Van den Berg to find Damsgaard
on the far post.
Damsgaard with a good ball in, and Wissa off the bar. Whipped in towards the 6-yard box. Schade tried to get a flick on it, and Wissa arriving, side foots it from close range onto the top of the bar.
Tell you what, this is a really clever effort from Wissa. Great ball in, and as he tries to spin back heel it into it, just comes off the crossbar. He's got between Gray and Spence, and he just tries to be inventive because it's dropping, and he just tries to back heel it in. It's a great attempt.
Well, it was so close to being the leveller for Brentford here, but it was just a couple of inches too high, so it remains 1-0 to Tottenham Hotspur, but a bit of a scare for Spurs, and a couple of questions being asked by Thomas Frank's side since the interval.
Spurs haven't really been able to get out of half, have they, since the second half has started? They've struggled to keep hold of the ball, and Brentford are just looking more and more dangerous in that final third. They're going to get something on target. It's going to be a decent ball, and everything now is starting to hit its mark a little bit more.
Goalless at Old Trafford between Manchester United and Crystal Palace, and Arsenal against Manchester City to come on 5 Live from 4:30 with John Murray and Matt Upson at the Emirates for us. There'll be commentary in the WSL later of Spurs against Manchester United. Here goes Kulusevski, meanwhile into the area. Dejan Kulusevski side netting. I think some of the Spurs fans might have thought it was in. Kulusevski burst away on the right. Brentford have had the better of the second half, but Kulusevski onto a loose ball and wide of the post.
Yeah, Van den Berg stepping out, just plays a loose ball into the middle of the park. Bentancur steps onto it and releases Kulusevski really early onto his right foot. Steps inside and you feel just get it back across the goal. It's a tight angle again, but he hits the side netting.
Well, Brentford have had the better of the second half, but they almost gift wrapped a chance for Dejan Kulusevski there to extend Tottenham's advantage. Johan Wissa in the left channel has forced Archie Gray to send it out of play for a throw that Wissa thought about taking quickly but decides against it. So it's back on halfway with Janelt for Brentford. Brentford 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1, 10 minutes gone in the second half. Mbeumo hugging this right touchline. Spence and Son across to try and box him off. He offloads to Christopher Ayer. This is still tight to the right side from a Brentford point of view. Norgard infield to Collins, who knocks it square to Van den Berg inside the centre circle. Popped across to the left and Vitaly Janelt. Janelt goes up the line to Lewis Potter. Lewis Potter opts against putting in the early cross, and Spurs have packed out the area between Brentford and the boxers. Kinski makes a good gather from a deep cross towards the far stick and collapses onto the ground. Stephen Kelly.
Yeah, a bit of a waste from Brentford there. I think that they've got good possession of the ball and they fire it into an area where it would have to be an amazing cross to really cause Tottenham problems because it's just too far out, but they've got so much possession. They just need to do a bit more with it.
56 minutes gone. Collins back to his goalkeeper Valdemarsen. Valdemarsen's ball out from the back, and now Norgard halfway inside the Brentford half. Ayer's been dispossessed by Basuma but has helped to win it back. Norgard quickly into Damsgaard. Over halfway now, Mikkel Damsgaard. The pass to the left is a bit behind Schade. Just checks the momentum somewhat. He's got Lewis Potter making a run on the overlap. It's back to Janelt though in centre field. He cuts infield a bit more now and rolls it square to Christopher Ayer. Ayer opts against pumping it into the area, so Brian Mbeumo's got it, having a run at Jed Spence, and Mbeumo goes back for Ayer. Ayer's whip ball in is cleared by Ben Davies, who's won quite a lot in the air this afternoon, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think Tottenham have dealt with the crosses really well, and they've actually not been bad deliveries in, but they're just a bit too flat.
On the right now with Mbeumo, and his cross is blocked by Jed Spence for a Brentford throw.
But you look at that last cross come in from our Tottenham had pretty much their whole team within the box. It was like they're defending so deep now. Brentford are just having a real good time with possession, but they have to make it count.
So it'll be a throw for Brentford that Schade is going to take. He was thinking about a long one. He does have quite a good trajectory on his throws, Kevin Schade. So we edge towards the hour mark at Brentford with the score 1-0 to Spurs. In it goes from Schade, and Richarlison up well to meet it. Son can't get any more distance on the clearance, so Schade with the ball at his feet now on the right has a chance to get it in. It's not a great pass backwards of square to Janelt, and Brentford have retreated almost towards the halfway line. Lewis Potter's ball forwards, flicked on by Collins, collected by Wissa on the left flank for Brentford. Back for Damsgaard by the corner of the area, whips the ball in and cleared by Jed Spence up towards Richarlison, who showed too much of it to Vitaly Janelt. Now it's Damsgaard on the left. Damsgaard away from one challenge and down the line for Wissa. Wissa will get there and get the ball in, and it's blocked behind for a goal kick, I think, by Collins.
Yeah, ball worked out well to Wissa on the left hand side. He tries to whip the cross in. Collins is still up there, and Van den Berg from the earlier set play, and Collins comes flying across and it comes off, and he's way past the goal. It would have been very difficult to get anything on that back towards the keeper.
And they've taken the goal kick short, and it's fired upfield by Kinski towards the centre circle, won by Van den Berg. Now it's Yves Bissouma who knocks it square for Bentancur. Tottenham leading 1-0 with 59 minutes on the clock. Here is Bergvall, the half-time substitute, on for Mikey Moore, who has played it short to Son. Son on the left, back to Bentancur, down to walking pace in centre field with Bissouma. No Brentford player putting any pressure on the ball, so Spence at his leisure can roll it back to halfway and Archie Gray. Gray in the centre circle. fizzes it out to the right, and Dejan Kulusevski has got Lewis Potter close by, so safety first from him. Back to Gray, and now Basuma again, and Tottenham just popping the ball around in the midfield area. Now it's further forwards to Kulusevski, who thought about the ball in from wide on that right hand side. Dab back to Bentancur. Just a bit of frustration from the Brentford fans as Spurs continue to knock it around with no real pressure. Launched upfield for Porro on the right flank, cleverly done to get it back to Kulusevski, who's into the area now. Dejan Kulusevski back for Bergvall, edge of the box, Bergvall wide, not far away. Ange Postecoglou just down in front of us, thought it might have been creeping in, put his hands on his head immediately and leant back. He was agonising over how close that was to making it 2-0.
Yeah, best bit of play from Tottenham this whole half. Kulusevski down the left hand side, him and Porro linking well into Bergvall, who just steps inside and drags this shot on his left foot past the post.
So while Brentford have been the more attacking side since the break, Spurs have had a couple of good sights of goal. Kulusevski into the side netting, and now Bergvall just wide of the upright as they play it out from the back again, Brentford, and have done very well. Lewis Potter surging forwards on the left, 3 players further in front of him, and he can't find any of them because his pass forward is blocked by Bentancur, picked up by Schade, and Bentancur's bundled him over. That's a free kick for Brentford on the left wing.
Yeah, Brentford at the back just pass the ball around really well, break that Tottenham press, get into the wide areas, and then Bentancur gives away a bit of a silly foul because this one now is slightly deeper than they've had, and it's a much more dangerous position to try and defend.
So ball in from the left hand side, which Mbeumo and Damsgaard are both deliberating as to who will deliver it. Brentford looking for a leveller, and they have come close a couple of times as the free kick is going to be sent in from that far side. Will it be Damsgaard or Mbeumo to take it as Kinski sorts out the collection of players in front of him? He's got the 6-yard box all to himself. It's not like the usual corner situation as the ball is floated in, but Jared Gillett says that was before the referee's whistle had gone, so he wants to have a conversation with Kevin Schade about some jostling in there before they take this set piece, Brentford, and he's had his word with the Brentford number 7 now, so they are able to take the free kick. It was Damsgaard who popped it in on that full start one where they had to go again. Who will it be that will take it in real time now? Damsgaard has left it for Brian Mbeumo, so an outswinger from Mbeumo, and it's poor, doesn't clear Pedro Porro, but it comes for Damsgaard to hit, which is deflected behind for a corner.
Yeah, they changed the options up there, and Mbeumo takes this one, tries to whip it in behind the Tottenham defence. It's a poor ball in, actually hits the first man and Porro, but then as it comes out to Damsgaard, good connection from him.
Crystal Palace have taken the lead at Manchester United with the Eagles scoring through Jean-Philippe Mateta once again. So that's Manchester United 0, Crystal Palace 1, as Damsgaard gets set to deliver this corner kick for Brentford on the left. Deep one towards the 6-yard box, and Collins got up and didn't get his head on it. Well, he rose in the air and you felt that the net was going to bulge, but nothing happened, and it is still 1-0 to Spurs. Here is Mbeumo searching down the right hand side. Spence has a nibble at him and sent it out for a throw to Brentford, level with the Spurs penalty area.
Yeah, that was a great corner in from Damsgaard. They worked it well. Collins gets free and he just misses the flight of the ball, completely gets no connection on it. Tottenham clear the lines, but Brentford are looking more dangerous.
Well, they've had their chances, but they haven't been clinical enough in front of goal, and they still are trailing by that own goal from Vitaly Janelt as Lewis Potter's cross is a bit tame from 10 yards outside the Brentford penalty area. Janelt's won it back. Well, he thought he'd won it back off Richarlison, but the whistle has gone for a free kick for a challenge on Richarlison.
Yeah, Richarlison just nips in front of Janelt, who doesn't really see him. Little rake down the back of the Achilles, and he goes down, and Tottenham needed that. They need to just relax, get hold of the ball a little bit, because it's all Brentford.
So Palace leading at Manchester United and Spurs leading at Brentford midway through the second halves of both games, and we've got Arsenal against Manchester City to come for you on 5 Live at 4:30 with John Murray and Matt Upson. Spurs edging towards a much needed victory in the Premier League after that success in Europe against Elfsborg that ensured the top 8 place and progression through to the Europa League round of 16. Big week for them in 2 cup competitions. They take a 1-0 lead to Liverpool in the second leg of their semi-final of the League Cup, and then it's away to Aston Villa on Sunday as well. So could be a week that really does re-energise and revitalise Spurs, with progression in 3 competitions potentially, and a much needed Premier League win possibly on the horizon here. Bergvall with a 360-degree spin out on the right-hand side, which doesn't come off, and Ange Postecoglou has his hands on his head about that particular move breaking down. Backwards it goes to Janelt for Brentford, who are going to make a change. Matthias Jensen is set to come on for the Bees any moment now. That'll be their first substitution of the piece. Here's Mbeumo wide on the right-hand side. Down the line for Ayer. Can he keep it in? He fires it across goal. Davis makes the block. It's behind for a corner.
Yeah, good movement from Ayer on the right-hand side. Mbeumo, clever little ball in behind. And Brentford, this is it. This is the moment where they just have to just find that pass, get that cross in, pick that man out in the box. Looks like Tottenham are readying Sarr as well.
So Matthias Jensen is on. Vitaly Janelt, who was the unfortunate player who got the touch beyond his own goalkeeper in the first half, that gives us the current scoreline of Brentford 0 Spurs 1, is the player who departs. As Stephen was saying, it looks as though Sarr is about to come on for Tottenham as well, as they get set to defend this corner kick and continue to defend their 1-0 advantage, which Bryan Mbeumo is aiming to make inroads into with this corner kick from the right-hand side. Mbeumo's corner, and they were queuing up at the far post. It didn't come that far. The rebound is lashed back in towards the Spurs penalty area, and now there could be a break on here for Tottenham. Kulusevski charging down the right-hand side. Richarlison and Son are in the middle. Here is Son, 30 yards out from goal. Work to the left, and Richarlison stood up by the newly arrived Matthias Jensen, who plays a cute ball down the line for Bryan Mbeumo, and Brentford can come forwards once again. Mbeumo jinking and weaving, and it's off Basuma for a throw on halfway, and that will give Tottenham, I think, the chance to make the change. And Papsar is coming on, and we will see the identity of who is going off for Tottenham Hotspur now, and it's Yves Basuma who departs, with Sarr replacing him, just to give a bit more energy in midfield, I think.
Yeah, I think they did look, Tottenham have looked a bit leggy having the second half, even then trying to get up the pitch and in the middle of the park. Bergvall, he's come back in and he should be playing a slightly deeper role, but he's not had the effect I think they would have liked him to have after coming into the game. But Sarr, who was full of running, full of energy, and early on the season was one of the standout performers of Spurs, and they need to get him back up to a level of performance good enough for them. But Brentford again just have to do more if they want to try and get themselves back in this game.
Mbeumo for Brentford, who has lent on their home form so much, haven't they? They've won 9 times in the Premier League this season. 7 of those victories have come here, but no success in their last 4 at home in the league. Here's Chardonnay on the left for Brentford. Ups against going for the early ball in, and it's going to be sent wildly over the top of the bar, and perhaps there's frustration creeping in for Brentford as Jensen lets fly from a long way out.
Yeah, I think Jensen on the pitch, that was a strange one. I was just, as I'm watching him there, Spence has gone inside and he hasn't checked his shoulder, and Mbeumo had picked up a really good position off his shoulder, and Jensen, even though he's fired a shot in from all of 30 yards away, maybe more, the pass onto the far post was on.
Ayer's header, and now it's Collins twisting in midfield. Whistler on the half turn, over halfway and motoring towards the edge of the area, wide on the right, clips the ball in. They're queuing up in there, but it's not high enough for Chardonnay and too high for Mbeumo to do anything with. Brentford, with 20 minutes or so left to play, come forwards on the left now with Lewis Potter, looking for a leveller here, as Lewis Potter goes backwards of square to Matthias Jensen. Now it's Norgard, and Norgard again, it's just down to walking pace. Spurs are just blocking that central midfield area and saying to Brentford, come on, find a way through, and they're struggling to do that.
Yeah, Spurs are just getting everybody back behind the ball. Even Richarlison is just dropping back in, and they're just trying to create blocks in the passing lane, blocks on the crosses, make it difficult for Brentford to play between those lines.
It's Collins in central midfield to Ayer, down the line for Brian Mbeumo. And Mbeumo's flick down the line is cut out by Sarr. It's behind for a corner.
Tottenham have had to deal with a lot of this, hadn't they? Set plays, crosses, and to be fair, for what is a makeshift back four and a centre back pairing, they've dealt with it quite well till now. But it's important that they stay concentrated.
So corner kick, which is going to be delivered by Brian Mbeumo from the right hand side as Brentford look at things. Mbeumo set to take, just working out where he's going to try and deliver this one to. Brentford 0, Spurs 1, Manchester United 0, Crystal Palace 1, both 2 o'clock kickoffs, and that's a really wretched corner all the way to the far post and nobody able to get on the end of it, and Bentancur's jockeyed it behind for a goal kick, and that's a real waste. And as you said, Stephen, normally they're so reliable from set pieces.
Yeah, that's been a real kind of strength of theirs all season, and a weakness for Tottenham, to be honest. You think Tottenham, you just feel that one thing about the game today is they've been a little bit more pragmatic, haven't they? The fullbacks haven't been as forward, maybe they've not had as much possession, but they just seem, I don't want to curse them now, but they've seemed a little bit more solid than they have been.
Forwards from Kinski, who's made a couple of decent saves this afternoon, the Spurs goalkeeper. Nothing too taxing, but he's been competent and safe with his hands as Porro plays a slide rule pass down the right for Richarlison to chase. He's got the wrong side of Lewis Potter, which hasn't happened too often this afternoon, but Lewis Potter's recovered well and has got it back to his keeper.
Yeah, you can just see they do look like Richarlison has put in a big shift, and he gets behind them, they just can't get away from him. Maybe that's lack of game time on the pitch for Richarlison. This is one of the few starts he's had, and Tottenham are going to be heavily reliable. Mbeumo's a great run.
Long ball over the top for Mbeumo. Jed Spence racing to get there, and Jed Spence has done enough to just nudge him off the ball. And Mbeumo goes to ground, felt that he was fouled, but there wasn't enough contact there to merit any kind of intervention from the officials.
No, it's good defending, really good defending from Spence.
It's broken down in centre field, and Spurs now can come forwards with Pedro Porro. Porro over the halfway line and tries to slip it down the line for Kulusevski, unable to do so. Here's Damsgaard for Brentford. Final 18 minutes of normal time. Brentford trying to find a leveller, and Mbeumo and Spence in a foot race, and Spence has come out on top and got it back to his goalkeeper Kinski in a sun-drenched penalty area. Short pass to Gray, who'll go back to his goalkeeper. Damsgaard looking to just close down the space. Spurs playing intricate passes inside their own penalty area, and it's still there at the moment with Davis, who now wallops it up towards Richarlison, shields it back to goal from a couple of Brentford players, but Ayer's lent in well on Son Heung-min and has got the ball back, and him and Son in a battle royale there. Richarlison flies in, it's out for a throw to Brentford. Christopher Ayer just receiving some attention from his teammates here as he suffers with a bit of cramp, and the Tottenham coaching staff moaning to the fourth official John Busby about some challenges that had gone in there that weren't punished. Brentford using this as a tactical timeout really, with Bentancur also on the deck and receiving some attention at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a good battle down this left-hand side, hasn't it, between Mbeumo and Spence. And Coyote is going to come on now for Brentford.
He only recently joined up with the Brentford squad, didn't he? And here he is coming on for his debut for the last 20 minutes or so of action here. On halfway with Vandenberg for Brentford. Cody just going through his final warm-ups and getting his last bit of instruction from the coaching staff before he takes his place on the pitch. And back it goes to the Brentford goalkeeper Valdemarson. Brentford 0, Spurs 1, 74 minutes gone. Forwards by Collins. Wisser chasing, but it's a pretty hopeful punt through the middle. Wisser has got there though. Gray holds him up, and it's off Spence for another Brentford corner.
Yeah, Wisser's done well with stuff like that. Has a little ball over the top, made it work, put the Tottenham defenders under pressure, and Spence does well to get back and get out for corner. But they've had a lot of corners, haven't they, this second half. Short one here to Damsgaard.
Taken short, as you say. Damsgaard back for Mbumo, who's got the angle for the cross perhaps. The cross though takes a deflection. Richarlison gets his head to it. It'll be collected by Collins, who goes backwards of square, and Brentford will build again with Lewis Potter. Launched into the area by Lewis Potter. Up goes Van den Berg. It's looping around in there. Van den Berg's onto it again by the D of the area. All very congested. Norgard with an intelligent ball wide to Damsgaard, whose first touch wasn't ideal. He goes back to Brian Mbumo, and Mbumo has to work it backwards to Jensen. Spurs with good organisation and bodies back there. Porro sliding in to make a challenge on Damsgaard. They thought it was a handball. Play goes on. Damsgaard back to Jensen, 30 yards out from goal, but again there's just a couple of walls of blue that Brentford are finding it hard to get through. Over the top now for Norgard. Spence up well, and Mbumo with a sliced effort that goes well wide and actually out for a throw-in.
It's wild, isn't it, from Mbumo? It drops to him and he just swings out so early. I think he feels that he has to hit it quick and just completely gets it wrong and slides right across it.
So Coyote comes on for his Brentford debut, and in a perilous situation for his team as Ayer, who was receiving some treatment for cramp, departs the scene. Might just give them a bit more pace on that flank, the new arrival.
Looks like Tottenham as well. They're looking at Dane Scarlett. I think maybe Richarlison is spent. He's put in his shift, hasn't he? Trying to get back. Real lack of service from up there with Tottenham, who haven't had the ball a lot this whole second half.
Here is Coyote, who's just come on and has got the ball in dangerously, and Ben Davies reacts to send it behind for a corner. Well, that was very nearly an immediate impact from the substitute.
Yeah, just rampades forward, and Mbumo just pulls it out to the side of him, and good ball, low cross into the box, and Ben Davies does well to clear it. But again, another corner for Brentford.
And it hasn't been their strong suit today, which you don't often say about Thomas Frank teams. But it's going to be sent in towards that near post by Brian Mbumo here. And it's a crowded area, and the heads all went up. The ball has spun out to the edge of the box though. Jensen back for Mbumo. Jensen with a chance to get the ball in. He's dummied Pedro Porro, and then the cross was towards the near post and had the pace taken out of it, so it's going to be a throw for Brentford, level with the Tottenham penalty area, and Coyote has gone across and is going to take a long one here, you would have thought, as he cranks up for a big run up and hurl into the penalty area. Coyote has got as much room as he possibly can and now hurls it in. Up go the heads, and it was Van den Berg who got ahead to it, but it was tame and straight through to the keeper.
Yeah, it's great throw in from Coyote. All the Brentford fans were waiting to see what was going to happen, but he gets a good distance on it. But it's very hard to get that first header on goal because there's not much pace on it.
Up towards Richarlison for Spurs, deep in the Brentford half. Bergvall's gone over, and the free kick is given Tottenham's way. Dane Scarlett, who scored in the week. It was a real night for the youngsters, wasn't it, as he got on the score sheet, and Scarlett is coming on, and Richarlison's attracting the boos from the home fans, as he is the player who's going to be hooked. He's pretending at the moment that he hasn't heard the call or knows that he's going off, and now with a hangdog expression does start to make his way towards the halfway line.
Yeah, very, very Richarlison like, just to drag it out, try and walk away, give himself his furthest point to get off the pitch. And to be fair to him, he's put in a really, really good shift this afternoon. Physical work up against two towering centre backs, and not really had much to play when it comes to actual quality into him, but just hard work and graft. And Scarlett's going to have to take up that mantle if Tottenham want to stay in this, but it's important that they still have that shape, that rigidity, which, to be honest, we've not seen that often from Tottenham, but they've done it quite well today.
Richarlison gets high fives from all of the coaching staff, doesn't look too furious as he comes off and takes his seat in the dugout, with Spurs edging towards the 3 points here, still leading by that Vitaly Janelt own goal from the first half, as time begins to run out for Brentford. And Sarr's underneath there, high ball in the middle, nudged through to centre for Scarlett to chase, and Scarlett, I think, used his hand there, but the referee has let play go on because Brentford have got possession. Collins with the ball through the middle for Mbeumo. It's come out to Coyote on this right side. He goes back to Collins, who will play it in field to Matthias Jensen. Bergvall quickly closing him down, but he's coolly got it across to Van den Berg, who's over halfway, and it's Keane Lewis Potter now who's bombing forwards for Brentford on the left-hand side. Kulusevski gets the touch, it's out for a throw, but Spurs have dealt so well with all of the sort of crosses that Brentford have put in so far today. They're not going to be concerned by popping it out for throws or corners.
No, they have dealt with it very well. I said the shape, their organisation, fullbacks in good positions for crosses, dealing with them on the far post, not getting over concern. A couple of times I look and I think Spence hasn't spotted Mbeumo in behind him, just hasn't opened his shoulder, but the ball hasn't reached, and it's going to be another long throw here which Tottenham are going to try and have to deal with, but Brentford do have the height advantage.
So it's going to be a long throw from Coyote, and Spurs have dealt with it again quite well, and Lewis Potter has a lash from the D of the penalty area, and it goes sailing a long way over the top, and just signs that they're running out of ideas when you see your defenders having a pop at goal like that.
When you're a Tottenham defender, if you are in this case, or any defender, and you're trying to deal with it, you're physical, it's hard to shift, the ball goes out, and you see the defender hitting a volley from 25-30 yards, or sails over the bar, it's always a nice feeling.
Goal kick will be taken by Antonin Kinski, who's heading towards a clean sheet in the Premier League here, with the score Brentford 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1. Kinski taking as long as he can before drilling the goal kick long upfield and into the Brentford half. Son waited for it to bounce. Coyote got there first, and Sarr wins the second header as Coyote nearly gets himself into a muddle with Son breathing down his neck. It's back to the keeper though, whose ball forwards isn't ideal, cut out by Pedro Porro. Brentford have won it back on halfway. Damsgaard challenging Bentancur, who comes away with it and rolls away from two Brentford players. Did really well there, Bentancur. Now it's Bergvall in centre field. He is closed down by Norgard, so they go all the way back, and Jed Spence will start again on the left hand side. Spence closed down by Mbeumo, and Damsgaard's across there as well. Spence in a tight spot, works it back to Pap Sarr, and he finds Ben Davis inside the Spurs half at the moment, as the Spurs fans find their voice as they try to get their side over the line, leading by a goal to nil. It's with their goalkeeper Antonin Kinski now, as he gets set to launch it long upfield towards Son Heung-min. Coyotes underneath the ball, and Mbeumo helps it further on, and now it's collected by Pap Sarr into Jed Spence on halfway with 8 minutes left to play. Brentford 0, Spurs 1. Full commentary on 5 Live later of Arsenal at home to Manchester City in the Premier League, and here on Sports Extra you can hear Spurs against Manchester United in the WSL after that thriller in the WSL between Arsenal and Manchester City earlier on today. It's back to Valdemarson in the Brentford goal. Long looping ball forwards from him towards halfway. Wisser is onto it for Brentford. Was he hauled over? Advantage played. It's crossed to Brian Mbeumo. Takes it down nicely, and Mbeumo can't get past Jed Spence, and Wisser was closing down the loose ball. Good stuff by Pap Sarr in a dangerous area, and it's going to be collected by Son Heung-min just inside his own half. Here is Pap Sarr, who's got Damsgaard for company. Back it goes to Ben Davis. Davis, who's closed down by Wisser, gets it up to halfway. Scarlett lays it off, and now Jed Spence having a run, and Mbeumo tried to pull him back. Play goes on. Son on the left. Spurs looking for a goal that would settle it once and for all, and the low ball in from Son. Can't find a teammate, but it does come off a Brentford boot for a Tottenham corner.
Good play from Tottenham. I think they defended really well here. Spence, I think, has been excellent against Mbeumo, driving inside there, wins the ball back, and then the calm when they get forward. Good pass out to Son, who does really well, just taking the box and drawing the corner. And is this the first corner of the second half?
I think it is, yeah. So Son's the man who's going to take it. Brentford have got Carvalho ready to come on, but Brentford will wait until after they've defended this corner, you would have thought, as Son gets ready to take this corner. In swinger towards the near post, and Mbeumo seems to get a flick on it. Nearly went in to his own goal for another Brentford own goal, as Son knocks it down the line for Kulusevski. His whip ball in was excellent, and a couple of Spurs players flung themselves at it, couldn't get the touch.
Tell you
and
what,
it's out for a Brentford throw.
There was some pace on that cross from Kulusevski, a bit too much though for Scarlett to try and get on the far post. Just whips it in. Dangerous ball, and Brentford are asked kind of throw the dice here, I think, for them.
Fabio Carvalho on for Christian Norgard as we go towards the final 6 minutes of the 90 here at the GTEC. Still Manchester United 0, Crystal Palace 1 in the other 2 o'clock kickoff, by the way. Here's Jed Spence for Spurs to Bentancur. Could be back-to-back wins for Tottenham Hotspur in all competitions. Just the tonic they needed after the disappointment of that loss at home to Leicester City in the Premier League last weekend. Launched forwards by Spurs, and Lewis Potter's underneath it and can guide it back to his goalkeeper. 5 minutes left to play. Brentford 0, Spurs 1. Stephen Kelly.
It's a wonderful first touch from Lewis Potter there. Ball over his head, going back towards his goal. Takes a touch inside, and now he's on the receiving end of this. Coyote's done really well. Brentford have taken 2 or 3 Tottenham players out of the game.
Here is Carvalho, who's just come on for Brentford, to Lewis Potter, away from Pedro Porro, who then recovered to win the ball back really well. Has Porro taken it out of play on that left side? He has, so it's a Brentford throw. Jensen thought about taking it. Will he wait for the long throw of Coyote instead? I think he will. And Postecoglou shifts around inside his technical box, so close to a priceless, precious win for his side in the Premier League. It will be Coyote's long throw as he mops the ball down in his shirt and then walks back to the advertising hoardings, so he gets as much distance as possible to work with for this long throw that he's about to take. It's into a good area, and the overhead kick is off the line from Jed Spence. Brentford so close to a late leveller. Jed Spence in just the right place to clear away off the line. Very important stuff from Spence there to preserve Tottenham's lead, and now Dane Scarlett can maybe lead a Spurs counter-attack. Kulusevski back to Bergvall on halfway for Spurs to Pap Sarr. He's got Jed Spence to his left. Spurs 4 minutes plus stoppage time away from victory here at the GTEC. It's Bentancur in central midfield, back to Porro. That was a bit of a let-off.
It was, yeah. Again, long throw into the box, bounces around. Carvalho gets the overhead kick, and Spence has just dropped into a good position, clears the line. There's not much power from the overhead, but Tottenham getting a little bit sloppy there. Ball from Kinski out to Bergvall. He almost gets caught. The Brentford press.
Well, here are Spurs in midfield with Bentancur over halfway. Another goal now, and the 3 points are in the bag for Spurs, and Son has played it through for Sarr, who gets there and scores. Tottenham have got the win now. Sarr on the end of a lovely ball from Son. A gorgeous, cute finish from him to roll it beyond Valdemarsson, and Ange Postecoglou can celebrate a much-needed Premier League victory now as Pap Sarr makes it Brentford 0, Spurs 2.
It's a great goal. It really is a great goal. Tottenham from right to left. I thought they were going to get caught in the middle of the park when the ball comes out to Bergvall, but then they work it really well all the way up the pitch, play it out to the left-hand side. Sonny puts in a wonderful ball into Sarr, who just slides it in past the goalkeeper, and it's that running on from the midfielder, but he takes it really, really well.
Well, Tottenham Hotspur delight, Brentford desolation. Thomas Frank punched the turf in frustration as Son's defence splitting pass was seized upon by Sarr, and it's an ice cold finish from him that has finished off the game. And Spurs, it's been pretty much a perfect away performance. They've soaked up some pressure and they've hit them on the counter, and they now lead 2-0.
I think what must be encouraging for Spurs fans, and if you're watching it, is that they've kept a defensive shape about themselves. They've not overloaded. Our fullbacks haven't been going crazy forward, leaving loads of space where the likes of Mbeumo and Wissa would have taken advantage of. They've kept a really disciplined, organised shape about them today, and Brentford have found it hard to break it down. But then Brentford, have they done enough in the final third? Have they produced enough quality in those times when they've had the ball against Tottenham and made them work hard enough?
Brentford looking to perhaps try and make it interesting, but with 2 minutes plus stoppage time left to play, you can't see a way back for Brentford now. and they will reflect on a number of missed opportunities, won't they? Just before that second goal for Spurs, Jed Spence was in the right place to clear off the line, and from 1-1 it's now 2-0.
Yeah, it is, and that's it. You know, games can be so fickle, can't they? That was such a big moment. Long throw in, but I think what Brentford have resorted to, it was long throws and hopeful balls in, where you think throughout games the likes of Mbeumo and Wissa have caused teams problems, but I feel Jed Spence was done a really good job on this left hand side defending against Mbeumo.
Sarr for Spurs, through the middle for Kulusevski, cut out though by Vandenberg, and the concern for Brentford will be this is another setback at home where their form at the GTEC had been so pivotal to where they were in the table. Not in any danger of being sucked into any kind of relegation battle, but just stunts the momentum that was built by the victory away at Crystal Palace last time out. And speaking of Crystal Palace, they are now 2-0 up away at Manchester United late on there. Now they're asking for a penalty here. It's going to be a free kick just outside the area that's awarded by Jared Gillett instead.
Tottenham players aren't happy. They felt there was a foul on Spence earlier on in the build up to this, but Davies just takes him out on the edge of the box. Luckily Mbeumo hadn't just stepped onto that line. It's a great opportunity though. Left foot, you almost think he's going to be shooting from here to just fire across the goal, test Kinski and make it an entertaining last few moments if they can get something from this.
Seconds of normal time left to play. Wait to see how much additional there will be. I don't think it'll be a vast amount, as Damsgaard and Mbeumo stand over the ball at the moment and wait to take this free kick for Brentford as the Spurs go marching in. Is sung by the away fans. 4 additional minutes which we are into now at the GTEC. Brentford 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2, an own goal from Vitaly Janelt and a really good goal from Pap Sarr.
You have to shoot here in Mbeumo, 2-man wall. I don't think it's enough from this position.
And Mbeumo goes for goal and sends it too high over the top, and it's harmlessly behind for a goal kick.
Crazy to try and lift that from there. You feel player of his quality, just smash it low, keep that low. Even if it's goalkeeper side, it's going to cause loads of problems. You're so close, the chance of him getting it away from the danger with so many onrushing bodies would have been difficult. But that's kind of summed up Brentford, hasn't it? That's summed up their afternoon. Just in those moments when they can make it count, they've made the wrong decision, or they've not executed as well as they can.
So it will be a goal kick to be taken by Kinski, the Spurs keeper, who's made a couple of decent saves today, good moments in the game, and he is heading towards a clean sheet here for Spurs. It's been a good week for them. They saw off Elfsborg, and some of their young stars took centre stage in that game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and now they are closing in on getting the job done here. Only 2 and a bit minutes of stoppage time left to play, and they've got a free kick deep in Brentford territory.
Yeah, to be honest, this was a huge game for Postecoglou. Going into this, I don't think the game in Europe would have given them that much relief, just because who the opposition was and the expectation was to win that game. But going away from home against Brentford, who have the best record at home in the Premier League, was always going to be a tough task and would have heaped the pressure on him. But I think he's shown a change in his style slightly. It's been just less gun-ho and less free-for-all. There's been a much more pragmatic, sensible way they played.
Ping forwards by Davis towards the left, and Son who leaves it, and it goes out for a goal kick. And despite the fact that they're leading and set to leave with a big 3 points here, the leaving out songs continue from the travelling fans.
Yeah, they're not happy. They know that the team have struggled, haven't they, with a lot of injuries, and I don't think that's always an excuse for the way this team have played and the oppositions they've not got results against. But I think the fans feel that Levy hasn't spent enough on the players when they've needed the most, and they're letting that be known. Spurs
just 90 seconds away from victory here at the GTEC, and it could get better for them. Dane Scarlett's chased the ball down the left channel, but the flag was always likely to come, and having delayed for a while, it is now put up by Mark Scholes across on the far side as Ange Postecoglou breathes a bit easier. Pressure and scrutiny is going to be relieved on the beleaguered Tottenham Hotspur manager, who said that whenever he sees light at the end of the tunnel, it turns out to be an oncoming train. And at the moment, though, it's set to be a good day at the office for him, and attentions will then turn to that massive League Cup semi-final second leg against Liverpool at Anfield on Thursday, and they'll have a spring in their step off the back of this.
Well, they will, and we'll give them a platform to build on, just in how you play away from home against teams that have got very good attacking prowess, which Liverpool do. I don't think you can go and play them off the park. I don't think you can go toe-to-toe to them and what you have at your disposal. So you're going to have to bed down and weather the storm at times. And I think this will be as show those defenders what they have to be able to do. Because Brentford, even though they've probably lacked a bit of quality, they put them in dangerous balls, and Tottenham's defensively had to deal with it.
Last chance for Brentford to maybe get a consolation here. Sharda can't control it. We're into added time now, as Jensen gamely comes forwards for Brentford, plays it to Coyote. The whistle's coming from the away fans. Sharda up with the header over the bar, and that will do it, I think, as Jared Gillett blows the full-time whistle. Ange Postecoglou shakes hands with Thomas Frank. They exchange an embrace, and Ange Postecoglou, a much happier man after the last couple of games for Spurs. We saw that devastation after the defeat to Leicester City last weekend. Well, they've beaten Elfsborg in the week, which was an expected success, but to come to Brentford and come away with the 3 points, that is a massive boost for his men. Stephen Kelly.
Oh, huge win for Tottenham. I think Brentford will be bitterly disappointed at the amount of possession they have, the amount of final third entries. They didn't make it count, they didn't test Kinski enough, but Tottenham being resilient, shown they can defend, not being gung-ho and not leaving themselves open. This is a huge win for them, and exactly what Postecoglou need to ease a little bit of the pressure that's been building on them.
As for Brentford, a case of what might have been.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I think they look back at this and they go, look at the amount of times we got into their box, look at the amount of times we got into that final third, crossing positions, corners. Did we make it count? Did we get the first contact? Was the ball in good enough? And I think they'll look back and say no, on too many occasions. It wasn't due to a lack of effort from Brentford. It was just in that final moments they were just lacking a bit of quality, which is unlike them because they've got players that can cause you problems.
Well, it is finished here then at the G-Tech, with Tottenham celebrating victory in the sunshine. Their players go across to take the adulation from the travelling supporters. Brentford suffer another setback here on home turf. From myself and Stephen Kelly, it's farewell. There will be more football for you on 5 Live Sports Extra later on in the WSL, with Spurs playing Manchester United. But from us here in West London, it's goodbye.